do, like, let me make sure my sound is working real fast because I have my Bluetooth speaker plugged in, and just want to make sure the fucking thing is actually pumping out the audio like we need it to do. Here we go. All right. Okay, it is. Fuck. It is working, people. The audio is working, people. All right. Hey, thank you for tuning in, whoever you are. We love you. We love you, beautiful audience. We just have some. The war is over, people. We did it. We did it. We stopped the fighting. We stopped the war. Peace, peace and love, everybody. Peace and love. So we stopped the dang old war. We'll talk about that. We're gonna talk. I don't know. You know what we're. There's just too much to talk about. What have I got? We're gonna talk about Morrissey's hate list. We're gonna talk about. Ooh, I got blood drawn yesterday. I got a big bruise. I'm not on heroin or anything. Well, okay. I guess the first thing I wanted to talk about was I was watching. I don't know if people watch Joshua Cinderella, whatever the fuck his pot. I don't even know what is he called. He's got some goddamn YouTube. It's like the leftists. I don't know if he call himself a leftist. I suppose he's maybe DSA. He's Antifa. How does Joshua Cinderella identify? I'm not exactly sure. What is, in fact, let's just look at, let's see what his, because I think he's sort of an art world guy, but he's got a fucking YouTube, you know, video podcast. He had this guy on this week. Is it Cinderella? How the fuck do you? Yeah, here you go. I'm 2 years older than Joshua Cinderella, whose work is primarily focused on online communities and internet culture. He is the Doom Scroll, is what it's called. Doom Scroll. He went to SVA. I knew a bunch of people that went to SVA. They probably fucking know this guy. His ongoing work with Brad Trommel. Okay, so he's buddies with Brad Trommel for people who are big Brad Trommel. This girl I went to Ohio State with is dating Brad Trommel. I was looking at because we're Instagram. I met her back in fucking like 2006 or something. She was dating this kid who was like my best friend in like fucking kindergarten. This kid, Kevin Seabolt. Shout out to Kevin Seabolt, wherever you are, out in the Internet of Things. Kevin C. Kick his ass, Seabass. Kevin Seabolt had a Where's Waldo birthday party. I think in first grade. Kevin, I mean, that was the year of Home Alone. Kevin's ruled the world. He had a Where's Waldo birthday party, and like his cousin or his sister's boyfriend dressed as Waldo. They lived in this amazing house on. I mean, it probably costs $1 million now. On what fucking road is that? Burr, Virginia. It's like Virginia, and it was on the top of like the Wood Hill. And so anyway, Kevin Seabolt was dating this girl who is now dating Brad Trammell. And Brad Trammell, I don't even know. He's some kind of like web. He's like a Tumblr art critic. He's like the American Mark Fisher. Let's see. Josh Cinderella had an Etsy store. Okay. Blah blah blah. Anyway, Doom Scroll. He's an adjunct at fucking SVA. Guests of Doom Scroll have included Maddie Healy, Adam Friedland, Ezra Klein, Catherine Liu. I saw Andrew Callahan. Blah blah blah. Tim Heidecker was on Doom Scroll. So anyway, there was some new episode with this guy who was just like an ultra d bag, kind of Williamsburg. I mean, you would have saw this guy in Williamsburg in like 2008 or whatever. Just ultra. I mean, he probably worked for Vice. I don't exactly know the guy's background, but or who he is, but he was just talking so much mad shit about everything he was saying was so negative and like cynical, and he was talking mad shit about streaming, how streaming is just like this sad waste of time, and it's like the opposite of organizing because it's like it's isolating. You know, it isolates. I can't imagine people are watching streams in like big groups. It's not something that you necessarily watch like in a movie theater per se. Although who knows? Maybe you would. This is cinema, people. Let's bring those clicks. Keep bringing those clicks in, everybody. Let me look at. Let me see what phonemic paraphasia even means. I don't know. I picked that up someplace in the ether. Phonemic paraphasia is a language disorder when a person unintentionally substitutes, omits, or rearranges sounds within a word, resulting in a similar sounding non-word or different unintended word. So phonemic paraphasia is basically my ars poetica. That's basically my whole technique. Is like misunderstanding things. A type of speech error where a person, I think somebody said it about Trump or something. He's got phonemic paraphasia. Of course, it's all about him. Phonemic paraphasia. So that's like my practice. I have like calculated phonemic paraphasia. Uh, so there you go. That's why we called it that. It wasn't just a accident. It wasn't just Zen archery. It had a purpose. People who read my poetry or have watched my vlogs know I love that phonemic paraphasia. I'm all about that phonemic paraphasia. So, in any case, uh, this guy is talking mad shit on Doom Scroll. What a stupid name. What a dumb name. Why did the algorithm pick up like why do they like Joshua Cinderella so much? I don't know exactly. Maybe it's just me because I watch Democracy Now. But it's like they platform so many right wing people, Jordan Peterson, whatever it is, Rogan, the new Johnny Carson, according to Jay Leno. That's how far America's fallen. Joe Rogan's the new Johnny Carson. It seems accurate. I mean, in my old age, I've come to appreciate Jay Leno. Watch Jay Leno's Garage. It's insane. Jay Leno definitely has autism. I had no idea Jay Leno. Jay Leno's got to be a north of 160. This guy can just prattle on and on about every little fucking thing about his cars. It's nuts. I hated Jay Leno on the Tonight Show. I hated him. But other than that, before the Tonight Show, after the Tonight Show, Jay Leno's not bad for what he is. So anyway, I didn't read the interview with him or whatever the hell he was talking about. We're talking about Josh Cinderella Doom Scrolls. He had some jerk off on his fucking podcast. His, I mean, he doesn't do a stream. It's like a video podcast. It's like a sit down interview. Josh Cinderella will get, you know, somewhere in the five figures of views. I think he'll get 200. Does he? It's either in like five or six figures. uh, let's see how many views a Joshua Cinderella fucking podcast will get. Um, he's like, I wouldn't say he's like overly woke, but he's probably okay. So this guy Julian Field, I think a bunch of people in the commented that he invented the Field app, which might be true. I'm not sure if that's actually true or not, but it only got 24,000 views, which is not many. Okay, this one 392,000 views. This one 51,000 views. 74,000 views, 86,000 views, 368. So not necessarily huge, huge, huge. But like, six figures of views is pretty damn good. That's up there with Club Random. Some of the Club Random episodes. He's no Joe Rogan on the left, but if Joe Rogan's the new Johnny Carson, who is the Joe Rogan of the left? Um, maybe it's Josh Cinderella. Well, part of Jay Leno's point is he just lets people. He'll sit down with. I don't think that's true. I do think Joe Rogan is like right wing biased, definitely. He's like a libertarian. He would deny that he is, but like a libertarian is just like Republican. It's not. It wasn't culturally cool to be a Republican, and like it didn't really fit. It was like a bunch of old white guys. It was like Jack Kemp and Bob Dole and Kenny Lay and the boys, Dick Cheney. It wasn't like a bunch of. It wasn't like now where it's fucking Aiden Ross or Nick Fuentes or fucking all these young fucking douchebags with microphones, clavicular, red pilled or black pilled or whatever fucking pill they took. Uh, so anyway, Josh Cinderella had the guy who invented the Field app on. A tremendous contribution to humanity. I mean, that makes perfect sense. Like I said, this guy, I mean, just look at him. He's like Mr. Williamsburg douchebag in 2011. Like, like that guy was like my worst nightmare when I first moved to New York. This guy was everywhere in 2011. And now he probably has a natural wine bar or something. He invented the Field app. What a fucking sleazeball. This is a guy who's like in a poly. He's poly because like he wants to have threesomes with his fucking girlfriend or whatever. That's what that guy is. But he identifies as like I don't. Well, anyway, so he was just talking mad shit about. Well, one of the things he was saying was trying to affect political change within the American empire is like pointless. All of these people who are like leftists in America or DSA people, he's like, you need to move to some third world country or like South American country. Move to I don't even remember the countries he suggested, but he's like, move there where you can actually affect real change. You're not actually gonna do anything in America. Like the empire is too all pervasive. I don't really disagree with that. I mean, it seemed like the guy's whole thing was like being negative about the ways that leftists or podcasters or people on the internet think that they're being political activists by live streaming or I mean, look at Mandani. How can you say that it's pointless to live in the United States and you can't affect political change or like you're not actually doing anything in like the grand scheme of like well I think his point was just like the American empire is so imperialistic and all pervasive that it's like a joke to think if you're like a graphic designer or whatever to think that you're actually like some kind of radical or like I mean, I think the Mamdani thing is pretty radical. The establishment did not want this guy, and he is proving that socialist policies or whatever his platform is like popular and effective. He's actually he's taking almost like a broken Windows. I mean, it's almost like the opposite of that. It's not that doesn't have that negativity, but it's like the way he's like fixing the potholes and it's these little things, right? It's all the little details and stuff that like the government is functioning. People are seeing that and going, okay, it's not just these pie in the sky kind of big platform things. It's like somebody had a tweet about they requested a tree in front of their house or something, and like they've been waiting 3 years to get this tree. They reapplied under Mamdani. It was there in like 3 days. It's if those little things happen, like filling the potholes, the Knicks winning the championship, like the idea with broken windows, right, was like you enforce the little stuff, and it takes care of like the bigger issues. I would say that this is a positive use of that kind of approach. It's like Mamdani is focused on the nuts and the bolts. It's not just, he isn't totally just like some detached, privileged, like not, he understands functionally. And so he's making all these other politicians, I mean, he look bad. I think he has a climate that is amenable to him. You know, Kathy Hochul is willing to work with them. They make a good team, even though she's more of like an establishment kind of centrist Dem. She's not Andrew Cuomo. You know, if he was working with somebody who was really against him, like Andrew Cuomo, he might not have such an easy time. Or a Republican. You know, if there was a Republican governor like George Pataki or something, like he might not have balanced the budget. But Kathy Hochul, it seems, like a human being. She's willing to work with him, and they seem like they're a good team. They're at the fucking World Cup together. They're kind of buds, and so I think that has gone a long way to whatever fucking Mom Donnie getting the free childcare. That's a huge thing. You know, maybe he hasn't gotten the free buses or this or that, but like there's little things he's doing, shutting down the streets so kids can play soccer. You know, there's little things he's doing that are like effective, and those little victories will add up to a bigger. He'll get more and more power. You know, people will trust him more. The glaze is already insane, at least on Twitter. You know, people fucking love Mamdani, and they are outspoken about how he's making all these other politicians look like clowns. But he, like I said, he is in a very amenable place for that. I don't know that he could. I don't know that it would work. Maybe it would. Would it work in Kentucky or fucking Tennessee or fucking Louisiana or fucking Texas or maybe America's ready. Hopefully they get their head out of their ass and they realize Mamdani is like, it's not a bad, like we don't have to be communists. You know, it's like there is a sort of a middle between the center left or whatever, the centrist neoliberal democratic thing and the fucking the DSA kind of hits a nice balance between like being a fucking, communist or whatever, which is probably not the answer. But if you tax these people a little more, the pied-a-terre tax, that was something I'm Donnie. So anyway, that is something that like American citizens did in America. I think this is, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but like this seems like the most important place to try to affect political change. And it's frustrating to me that there aren't more radicals. All of the radicals that I know, like they just kind of like live their principles. And does it add up? I don't know a lot of people running for office. Like maybe that is the only, like, voting is great and everything, but I think the people that are really like doing some kind of political damage that they don't want are the people that are winning elections. People like AOC or the Squad or Mamdani, obviously, Bernie. Like those are the people that fucking are a threat to the status quo, more or less. And I think that is the motive of the establishment a lot of times, is to just undermine the people and the candidates that are really politically dangerous and try to clown them or make them look, like this is something, not to go back into the Beatles thing all the time, but like I think this is one of the reasons why John Lennon gets so slimed on the internet, because he was the most political. John Lennon was like a threat. They wanted to deport his ass. They did not want to let him into the country because he was a dangerous politically. And to be honest, that may be why they killed him. Maybe Mark David Chapman was some kind of fucking Manchurian assassin. Like they saw John Lennon started recording music again. They're like, we got to take this motherfucker out. We can't have this guy writing anthems about being non-materialist or non-consumer or peace or love or any of that bullshit. We need endless war. We need military industrial complex. So we got it's a hit job. Whereas, like, if you look at George Harrison, it's like he's not really political at all. I mean, he did the concert for Bangladesh. That's cool. That's activism. But, like, he was pretty homophobic. He didn't like David Bowie because he's like, pick a gender. And he didn't want to pay his taxes. Anyway, uh, it seems like they do want to deactivate. Music is the place where a lot of that takes place. You know, a lot of these politically relevant because it gets through to people, right? Somebody like Bob Marley gets through to everybody. And it's like this guy could be a fucking radical, charismatic leader if he, if he chose to go that way. So they got to take his ass out. The CIA. And in any case, I don't know. Is the answer moving to fucking South America or something and trying to overthrow the government there? I mean, that's one way to do it. I don't think that's a bad thing, but like, if real Americans got off their fucking asses and try, at least, at the very least, with like their money. Although I'm not even sure that matters anymore because like Americans aren't even buying anything anymore right now anyway. It's like a lot of the consumer economy has already fucking stopped. The only people buying shit are the people who are already rich. And so, does boycotting or not spending your money even make a fucking difference anymore? Like, uh, that is one of the ways that people have of letting the goddamn isn't that what happened with Bud Light or whatever with the fucking people boycotted because they were like anti-trans or something, and they change what they were doing. I mean, I don't. It's one that's the laziest way you could possibly be like an activist is just be like, I'm not going to spend money there anymore. I'm not going to go to Chick-fil-A because they're homophobic or whatever it is. I'm not going to buy uh who are we boycotting? I'm not going to buy Tesla. I'm not going to buy fucking any Elon Musk anything. I'm not going to use fucking. I mean, yeah, people are doing it with the AI. A lot of people are boycotting that, which I think is good. They're not using Chat GPT. They're not using Grok. They're not making AI flyers because they hate the data centers. I mean, the data centers are probably the biggest thing that I've seen just like normal people actually like give a shit about on both sides, right? It's like people are really upset about these data centers because they're so obviously invasive and like just destroying your quality of life. They're fucking loud. They have this like locust kind of death hum, this ringing. And so people are actually getting pissed about it. Who knows if they can actually do something about it? We'll see, I guess. At least they're getting off their asses and doing something. But now the war is over, so people will probably just go back to fucking sleepwalking and through life and not giving a shit and just paying whatever it is, $6 a gallon for gas, $4 or $5 a gallon for gas, or whatever the fuck it is. I don't even know. The subway's still $2.90, and it's free if you walk through the fucking emergency exit. One of the perks of living in the perimeter of the city is you get to just go into the subway for free, basically. Fucking, there's no cops usually. It's called fare evasion, people. Look into it. It's what makes life worthwhile. Fare evasion. I don't know. The subway should cost half as much as it does. So it's like I'll pay one way. I'm not paying both ways. Okay, it's just not happening. Sorry. Let's see. Fair evasion. It's a good title. Fucking got to write that down. Fucking might forget it. Fair evasion. There we go. Not that I do that. If the NYPD's watching, probably they're the only people watching. The only people watching are my ops. The CIA, the FBI, Cash Patel. That's why they have to shadow ban my ass. They know I'd be too powerful. People listen to my radical political live streams. Oh, yeah. So this is the other thing the guy was trashing. He's like, live streams are, I forget exactly what he said, but he basically just said, like, they're a waste of time. They're sad. They're the opposite of, like, organizing because, like, they isolate people. You're just, look at me. I'm alone in my apartment talking to a fucking inanimate object. It's a total hypnosis. It's a total hallucination to think that this is, like, interaction or something. It's more like an illusion. I'm talking to a fucking stick. And you're watching on a fucking screen. And so there isn't any contact happening now, is it? I still think that it's worth doing. I don't necessarily want to do this. I mean, it is a lot of time. 4 hours a week. I mean, geez. Uh, I think doing it twice, but like these fucking people like Hassan are on it like literally all day, every day. I mean, if you really want to get big at this, it's like you'd have to just sit in your fucking room, like playing fucking computer games, or I don't even know how you'd break through now because like more and more fucking people are doing this. It's more just like this normal mode of expression. Uh, for me, it's like I was doing this in like 20 fucking 14, basically. And so it's to me, it's like a correspondent to like a writing practice. This it's not it, and in fact, like when you're writing, it's also like a very isolating like message to the outside world. It's you're not like in a big group of people working on your fucking novel. Like maybe you'll be in public at a cafe or something. A lot of people need like peace and quiet to concentrate and shit. So for me, it's like this is not. I'm used to that. I think that's one of my conflicts. Like as an artist, is like I like working alone. I like being alone. But I also, it's like you're kind of ineffective unless you're social. You're kind of ineffective unless like you're going out to events, you're collaborating with people, you're working in a studio with other people, like on a movie or something. It's like you got to get a bunch of people together. It's not like this solitary artistic isolation where it's like I'm kind of, so it's like streaming is not that sad to me. Maybe it isn't healthy. There is a lot of talk people have about like look at writers and just like what a wreck they are as people. They're drunks. It is enough to drive you insane. Like when you're actually committed to trying to be a writer, like it is hard. It is hard to like force yourself to do it and not be overly critical of yourself and try to make it into something that's like actually good and likable, trying to get a hold of like your talent or what it lack thereof and guide it into something that's like finished. It really is a tough thing to try to do because you just hate all your ideas or other people hate your or whatever it is. It's like you got to face the blank page, right? That's like a famous, horror image of just like terror is like, oh my God, the most stressful thing in the world is like the looking at the blank page, just trying to pull shit out of the air and like it feels ridiculous. You need some kind of like stimulant a lot of the time. You need coffee. There's a lot of them are drunks, Hemingway, if Scott Fitz, whoever. It's like a cliche, the writer as drunk. Potheads, take your pick. Whatever drug you're on, it's a different genre of literature. It's fucking speed literature, heroin literature, just like music, kind of weed literature. Certain things kind of come out in the process based on whatever substance you're into. Uh, Benzos or sobriety, just raw dogging consciousness, as they say on the internet. So like live streaming is, as a performer and as somebody who like wants to use their body and like sort of like add some character and some color to the story, and it fits in with a lot of the process that I was already kind of developing, where like beat literature, Jack Kerouac, he was writing faster, he was trying to capture the vernacular of like storytelling, guys in a bar recounting the story, less like some kind of academic literary novel, although that too, but more like, the way the literary approach is like, the genre is like, this is what people actually sound like. This is what it sounds like when, because literature was always kind of, that's one aspect of it, is it's like it's trying to record, you know, verbal content. That was the best way they had, was writing the shit down. I read this thing, Charles Dickens, I think. He worked as a stenographer, I think, and he had shorthand. He wrote everything in like this coded, so he could write really fucking fast because he wasn't writing the whole word. He had these symbols that like meant the words and shit. So like if you look at a Charles Dickens manuscript or something, it doesn't look like the English language. It's like some kind of weird code. But it's like that's why his shit is like super fucking long, thick, passages, because it's like he was able to just crank it out. I think maybe Samuel Johnson had the same thing, where it's like they were able to record conversations because they had this shorthand. They weren't writing literally letter by letter every word. That was the best method they had for like, and you couldn't get it exactly right. You could only hear it once and it was gone. They didn't have fucking tape recorders and shit like that. So for me, this was a more direct way of just doing that. It's like, rather than sit at a fucking notebook and write it out, I'll just bam, compose it trippingly on the tongue and try to embrace the improvisatory nouveau kind of technology. The last 10 years of my life have all been about that. It's just like, what does this new technology allow us to do? It allows us to stream everything, to improvise endlessly, to get, you can inventory just like huge, huge, huge tracts of content. I can put a 4-hour vlog with all of my performances. I can write a novel that's 3,000 fucking pages long because I did it on fucking live stream. I can write a fucking whatever it is. You can record every note your fucking band ever plays. It's not like the fucking 50s or something where you had to get tape and you only had so much of it. It's like now you just hard drive everything. But we are running up against these issues where like now it's fucking surveillance technology, or our phones are just these kind of like little mind control devices where they can literally just like intricately send whatever messaging they want to every little person. Every person has their own receiver and they can program us however they want. So it's a little dangerous. It's a little dangerous, it feels like, to continue to do this, because it's like, uh, are we winning the war of streaming? Like, I don't know. Hassan Piker, I guess, is pretty big. Like I said, Joshua Sitter, he's not really a streamer, but this guy was just, I don't know. There's a lot of hate on streaming right now. Streaming is lame. Streaming is sad. I mean, that was something even Adam Friedland was talking about in that clavicular interview. Clavicular's like, why would you do anything off stream. If you're going to go hang out with your friends or whatever, why not stream it and get paid for it and get clicks and get views? Like, and Adam Friedland's like, you don't see, he's a millennial, I guess. Clav is like a Gen Z. And so he's like, how do you not see like the value of like doing something offline, and like not everything has to be fucking streamed, monetized? Like, that's crazy. That's sad that you would even think that. And it's like, I don't know where I stand on that. I mean, I wouldn't stream everything per se. Uh, Maybe I would. I don't know. Why not? Why the fuck not? The things that make me feel suspicious of it or that I don't like about it, or more like the fact that all of these billionaires own these platforms like YouTube, right? They want you to pump all of this fucking content, and it's just like it's data, it's personal, it's all of your, privacy basically. If you're streaming everything, it's like literally you're getting rid of privacy. Like you're just inviting people to like, and I don't, the thing is, I'm not really opposed to that artistically or philosophically. Actually, I kind of, you know, I'm kind of into it. But what are they using it for? What do they really want it for? What the fuck is YouTube want to encourage this for? Or Twitch? Twitch is owned by Jeff Bezos, or Kick, or whatever the fuck it is. Like, why do they want you streaming all of the sudden? Like, they want people to be isolated. They want people to be ineffectual. Is this like a way of politically neutering us? We think that we're like doing something and we're really not, because I mean, I can't do this in public. It's like, I mean, I could, but like I do reach a certain number of people, certain number, people. I have people tell me regularly that they watch it, that they heard a certain thing, blah blah blah. So in that sense, like, it's just another avenue for me. This is a way, like, people all over the world could tune into this if they wanted to. Ideally, they would. I wish I had, millions of fucking people watching this. But if 25 or 50 people watch it, that's not bad, really. And I come from poetry world, so it's like nobody listens to it really. Nobody listens to any of these people very much, other than people already in that world. But that's not that doesn't mean what you're doing doesn't matter. Like if you write some poem and you read it, it's like, and a few people hear it or nobody hears it. It's like there's still some sense that like it exists. That in and of itself is important and has kind of merit and weight, and like you don't even know what the reverberations of that might be and what that might add up to. Like, it does exist. It is real. Somebody might fucking read it and amplify it in some other way to some huge thing. Or why does it have to be some huge thing even? It's like communities, this is how they form and interact, is on these kind of like micro interactions, just like hanging out, interpersonal conversations. This is another way to sort of have a conversation, or a lot of the thoughts that I share on here are kind of ephemeral anyway. They're reactions to like the news or whatever's going on. So it's like, why not put it in some kind of immediate, kind of disposable media, where that's where that stuff goes. Like, I guess I could spend this time like working on some fucking novel or something that's like actually, you know, 400 pages and really has some kind of like integrity and stability and like durability. But like I said, I wanted to embrace the new technology, see what the fuck it does, see what you can do with it as writers, as this or that. It's like, this is another bridge to cross. This is the future. I don't think streaming it's gonna go away, really. Maybe it is, people are talking shit about it and think it's lame because it's like new. 5 years from now, I mean, it already is kind of like normalized, but like it just revealed something about what people actually want. They are, they want to hear conversation. They want to hear ideas. They want to hear those are situations. Those are scenes in a way. Seeing people interact. Let me sit down here. But it does take away from time when other work can be done, and is it just a sad, lonely, pathetic? Well, the other thing is like my fucking family probably sees this, like my grandma probably gets on my goddamn stream from time to time, or I think my uncle Tony, he said something about my vlogs are like 4 hours long. He's like, I ain't watching all that. Maybe my uncle Bill watches. My mom asked for my YouTube page recently, so that's a little weird. Not that they should watch it or aren't allowed to watch it or anything, but it's like you don't want your only audience to be like your fucking family, especially if it's like you're being super personal and like revealing. That's the other thing about streaming, is I guess it's just like it is super revealing. It's super, that's kind of what's sad and pathetic about it, is it's like just kind of spilling your fucking guts or your privacy right onto the surveillance technology. It feels like they're like duping us. Like they're using the idea that like you could be an influencer, you could get famous, you could hit the jackpot of going viral and win the fame lottery, and maybe somehow you'll turn that into being monetized and making a living. And that's the new kind of celebrity, that's the new entertainment industry, really. Things like acting, it's like it's hard to make a living doing that now. You're better off just figuring out how to make fucking Instagram posts that 100 followers or whatever. uh, you can see how effective I am in that department. um, those are the sad parts about it to me. The idea of doing it, I looked at it as more some kind of high concept, like talk piece, right? Like one of my favorite poets, or a favorite poet, is David Anton, who used to. I mean, he did it in like the 70s when he started. I think he would improvise these like talk pieces, which were just like this, basically. They were just like sort of just like storytelling, but also like kind of highfalutin, philosophical, whatever. And well, this just felt like a mode and a place. He would do it in public. He would, instead of a reading, he would do a talk piece where he would improvise, basically a spiel. But he was a professor and shit, so it's like, how hard could that have been? And then they transcribe it, and he'd edit it a little bit and put it on the page and publish it as a poem. So that was sort of, one of my big inspirations. I've talked a lot about the inspirations for this, whether it's Gene Shepard or Spalding Gray, or uh, the list goes on. Wallace Shawn plays. Uh, and so there are like aesthetic reasons why I do this. It's not necessarily just like I'm part of the streaming craze and I want to like uh jump on the fucking bandwagon or something. I mean, my streams in the last few years have been pretty political because that is a big part of what's going on, and I do feel like I want to respond to that and like get some kind of like alternative record of the time. I think doing this like twice a week is not that unhealthy for 2 hours. Maybe I should try to bring other people into it, like to make it more of a social activity. Uh, but that would affect the artistic intent of like making it a monologue and making it like more like a novelistic kind of composition. You could do both. You know what I mean? I could have a single, I could have a solo, and I could have like an interview. That would be my goal, is to do like one interview a week and one rant a week. Uh, so, I mean, it is a time where, like, I think reassessing it or thinking about it, I haven't been doing it quite as much recently because it is kind of like, well, am I feeding the beast? Am I self-sabotaging? Am I self-incriminating? It's like all of this could be used. I had a tweet, they subpoenaed my live streams. All of this probably could be used against me in a court or something, if it came to that. Not that I would ever like necessarily, do anything illegal or whatever. Who the fuck knows how it could be used against you, or I hate some of the fucking choices that YouTube has made recently with their goddamn audio and stuff. So that's another thing that's like kind of pissing me off and deterring me from doing this because of their stupid fucking way they're tweaking the, like it does seem like YouTube is just about to jump the shark. It's kind of already there. There's way more commercials than there was. And it's just some of the decisions that they make with their search and what they platform, and like I said, these AI driven fucking tweaks that they're making. Just like all of this shit in our society, it's like they're adding AI to fucking everything to justify the stock value, I guess. In that sense, maybe SpaceX is good. It takes some of the fucking attention off these stupid fucking AI stocks. But I saw recently, and I predicted this. People have been watching my stream know that, like, back in February, I made jokes about how they were using Grok to fight the war and how they were using AI to fucking tell them how to fight the war. And it just came out in this fucking whatever deal or whatever that, like, yeah, they were. They used Grok literally to, like, launch a bunch of fucking strikes. That is crazy to me. But that's Elon Musk. That's SpaceX, right? Grok is like folded into that. So of course he's like getting the fucking government contracts. They probably use Grok to doge the shit. They probably use Grok for every fucking thing. They just put it into, and I fucking called this back in February. I said they're using fucking Grok for this fucking war. And now lo and behold, 6 months later, 5 months later, whatever. The truth out is out. It was Grok the whole time. Just blame Grok, okay? It wasn't Hegseth. So anyway, we got this fucking the war's over, baby. Peace. Peace in the Middle East has been achieved. All it cost was fucking $300 billion. No big deal. A drop in the bucket. That's only what, like one fucking fifth of our entire federal budget or something. No big deal. The American taxpayer can handle it. I think they said if they divided it evenly amongst every citizen, it'd be like $1,000 a piece. So you can send your checks anytime that you want for the war that you voted for, people. I'm a conscientious objector, of course, like usual. So my hands are, unstained. So I don't know this deal. It's not even really a deal. It looks like a ceasefire to me. They said in 30 to 60 days they're gonna reevaluate it or whatever. Like that doesn't sound like a fucking like an armistice to me. Like 30 to 60 days is like that's how long the fucking like the ceasefire's been almost. And I think I saw like Israel is still bombing Lebanon. I don't think Israel wants this fucking deal. I think they want to keep piss in everybody's face. Um, and it was good that Trump came out and said that shit. Like, I do agree with him that he said, like, every time they take out a fucking Hezbollah, they don't need to take a whole fucking building down. They don't need to take a whole apartment down. I don't know if he actually means that shit. It's just more bullshit for the stock market. They struck this deal on Sunday, right before the SpaceX IPO. Like, literally, it was like the fucking day before. It's like, that's not a fucking coincidence. They want to jack their fucking stocks through the fucking roof. And they did. So it's like they have to have a peace deal. And apparently, it's there's so much fucking misinformation. The United States says one thing, we're negotiating, we're doing this, we're doing that. And then Iran, it's like the total opposite. It's like the strait, as far as I heard, was still closed. They didn't even reopen the motherfucker. And it's like, he said, she said. So I'm not necessarily holding my fucking breath. How is a war over? You're still bombing these people or whatever, bombing the fucking tankers. And I mean, come on, Obama's deal, Jesus Christ. Obama, what, gave Iran it was like $1.7 billion to stop enriching uranium or whatever the fuck it was. And it was like the Republicans pilloried him. That was one of Trump's biggest fucking chips on his shoulder. It was like this goddamn Iran deal with that Obama negotiated, and his trans wife. What a disgrace. And now it's like he created a deal that is literally 300 times worse. Like Obama, 1.7 billion, like that's, it's a lot of money, but in the grand scheme of United States bullshit, for what it was that's not very much money. $300 billion is a significant chunk of taxpayer change. And what did they say? They could end homelessness for $20 billion. And yet we don't have money for that, but we have $300 billion to give to Iran. And it's like the terms, it's a total surrender. I mean, not that this needs to be said. Everybody who's seen the deal knows that by now. It's like we basically just give them everything they want and please say pretty please with sugar on top. Trump has to get down on his hands and knees and say pretty please, Daddy Ayatollah. I'll suck your dick, man. Uh so surprise, surprise. I mean, the great negotiator strikes again. I mean, bottoms up. It's not real money anyway. I think that's a lot of. I mean, a lot of people complain. People complain about the debt constantly, especially right wing fuck faces. It's all they fucking talk about is the fucking debt, and the government spends too much money. It's like, well, how the fuck do you justify this then? This is a disaster. It is a disaster, to coin a phrase. So I'm not holding my breath. It's just more bullshit. It's like they're always doing this. They're on again, they're off again. It's on, it's off. They're starting, they're quitting. Like it's like this every fucking week. The guy changes his mind, the situation changes, and the administration wants to play it both ways where they have people that are like hardcore Hegseth war hawks. They want to fucking go in there. They want to kick ass in the Middle East, and it's a holy war for them, and it's biblical and all this shit. And then they have JD Vance on the fucking View trying to set himself up for whenever Trump dies or retires or whatever the fuck. Apparently, Trump had a stroke. People think like the right side of his body's kind of dead. He's got like a little bit of a death rattle. I will say his voice. He sounds like Mike Love. Funny how that works. Both Trump and Mike Love are kind of like having like a death gurgle. Hopefully they'll both be dead in the next year. How awesome that would how awesome that would that be if they both just died at the 250 celebration? That would be pretty amazing. That would be the best way I think for our country to celebrate its 250th anniversary was if Trump and Mike Love both just like had massive coronaries. They both definitely have like a death rattle type like thing going on with their voice. They sound like RFK all of a sudden. Only worse. Only worse. I mean, that's not supposed to happen. Trump really does not sound good. You know, maybe he was sick or something. I'm surprised they're even sending him to all this shit. They're sending him to like the G7 and all this. It's like, fuck, if he just had a stroke, maybe he should lay off the McDonald's and Kentucky Fried Chicken and just like chill out for a few days. You know, he doesn't necessarily need to be going to fucking G7 and shit. Some of these press conferences, he's like, he walks off the stage the wrong way or he's like facing the wrong way. That was something my uncle had like dementia. And that was something that he had was like, he didn't know which way we would play golf. He had no idea which way to go. You know, he'd like start walking the wrong way and you're like, it's this way. Trump is starting to do that. So, you know, he's out to lunch. I know, and I'm shocked that they're still sending him on these fucking publicity. He's at the fucking UFC at the White House. He's falling asleep at the Knicks game. He's falling asleep in Geneva. He's falling asleep at the fucking Oval Office. He's falling asleep at fucking a UFC fight. I mean, if you can't stay awake while two guys are beating the shit out of each other in front of you, there's definitely something wrong. I mean, is he so bored of violence? You know, I would. Here's the thing: is I would have been 100% behind it if it was wrestling. If they had wrestling at the White House, I would have been on board. I'd be like, "Fuck yeah, get Paul Heyman in there, get Brock Lesnar in there." I think I would support that. I'm all for like the WWF on the White House. Why not? They're in the cabinet. How much more fucking damage could they do? It's like they're the fucking Linda McMahon's the Secretary of Education. Triple H is there. Anything Triple H is near, that's not good. Triple H is one of my least favorite human beings. He always has been. I fucking hate Triple H. So no wonder he's the fucking head of the WWF now. He's a brown nosing piece of shit. He doesn't have real talent. He's not actually like fun to watch or anything. He's just a fucking operator, brown nosing piece of shit. He's a dirtbag. And now he's, you know, got proximity to the White House. Him and Shane O'Mac, Donald Trump. Oh, yeah, this is something. People were talking about how barren Trump looked like shit. I don't think he looked, I don't know. You know, he maybe didn't look as rizzed out as he did last year, but it's like, Jesus Christ. I mean, he's a piece of shit. You know, there's plenty of things to criticize Barron Trump about. He's making money off fucking the administration. He sells crypto. He's just you know, he's the one who likes all these like right wing fucking streaming douchebags. So like, fuck Barron Trump for many reasons. You know, the glaze of this guy was always fucking pathetic and stupid because he's 6'9" or however the fucking tall he is. But it's like he's always been a sleaze, and now he's like kind of a gross, fat Slavic sleaze. He looks just like his dad. He looks like a fat piece of shit. Like, are we surprised? Like, his dad's a fat piece of shit. Like, fuck him. Um, Yeah, put WWF at the White House. Better yet, put ECW at the White House. Too bad Sabu and Terry Funk are dead. I'd love to see them fucking battle it out. To me, it was almost like a Street Fighter 2. You know how, like, part of these fighting games is like you're fighting in like some kind of like really exotic background. There's like a big fucking Buddha statue. There's big elephants and shit. It's like it's the world tour. You go to Russia, you go to fucking Brazil, you go to fucking Japan, you're in a fucking, bathhouse. So now you're in front of the White House. It's just another stage, in the fucking idiocracy. I mean, it was a disgrace. It was definitely the most insanely disgraceful thing that has ever happened to this fucking country. What a bunch of hillbilly violent bullshit. I mean, somebody, maybe it was Professor Zhang, had a good explanation of like why they like UFC. Because UFC is like, the idea is it's like sort of a meritocracy, I guess, or like it's not about, it's their idea of like woke. It's like UFC is like international. It's like whoever beats the most ass. It's like, yeah, we'll accept you. Like if you're willing to be violent, the Trump White House will like they will they'll invite you in. But uh they're not doing it because you're DEI. They're doing it because like you beat the shit out of everybody better than everybody else. Like you earned a spot on the team by being like a sadistic, violent piece of shit. But it's it's also woke because it's like guys from fucking all over the world. I mean, the guy who said Michelle Obama was a man, what race was he? Who is that guy? Who said Michelle Obama is a man? I mean, what is this? It's just like I think, you know, weed enables people to believe anything. And when you're high, you're like paranoid, you're looking for causal relations. Josh Hokett. And like weed, uh, he looks like a white piece of shit. He looks like a racist white piece of shit. Surprise, surprise. He looks like he should be on Barstool Sports or something. Or he looks like Burt Kreischer or something. So like weed makes people like malleable and like gullible in a way. And I think that's one reason like why all of this conspiracy, it's like they go hand in hand. When they legalize weed, it's like they open the door for people to just like speculate about fucking aliens and fucking um Michelle Obama's a man and the CIA fucking, the way they're obsessed with like the JFK assassination. That was something that Trump said he was going to release when he got elected. He was going to finally, the truth was going to come out about the JFK assassination. It's like, have we fucking seen that? Like, fuck no. It was just bait. It was bait for a bunch of retards that think we didn't land on the moon. And I think when you smoke a lot of weed, these things start to make more sense. Like, yeah, of course you didn't fucking land on the moon. Of course, how the fuck would they get there, man? I can barely even get a fucking phone call through to fucking. I don't even get service in blah 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 my house. How the fuck were they, have like a video feed on the moon or whatever? It's like Kubrick did it. It's all fucking Kubrick, man. It's all in the fucking Shining. He tried to warn us. That's why they killed him, man. Eyes wide shut. And it's like, some of these things, it blurs the line between like what's a worthwhile conspiracy to pursue, like the Epstein files, and like what is just like kind of bullshit that's like, like space and aliens and shit. Not that that isn't like the future, who knows? But like it's a carrot on a stick that all of these jackoffs use. Elon Musk, it's like, oh yeah, we're gonna go to Mars in 10 years. We're gonna have data centers in space. So my company's worth a fucking $3 trillion because like, oh duh, space. We're gonna own space. We're gonna make so much fucking money in space. We're gonna mine fucking minerals from fucking the moon and we're gonna terraform Mars. It's like we haven't seen any actual evidence that this guy can do anything. His fucking Hyperloop shit sucked. These Tesla cars fucking suck. And it's like, I hope he blows up in a fucking rocket. I hope he blows up on the launch pad. I cannot wait for this dickhead to do too much ketamine and fucking try to overdrive his shit and blow himself to smithereens on the fucking launch pad of Blue Origin or whatever the fuck it is. I hope him and Bezos have a head-on collision in outer space. That would be the best case scenario for this to end. Bezos, Elon Musk, SpaceX do some kind of like chickie fight and blow each other to smithereens. That would be my preferred Hollywood ending for this whole fucking space bullshit. But like the Epstein files, this is something that's actually real. It's like maybe it's fake. Maybe it's just something that they fucking fabricated. But to me, it was like maybe I just smoked too much weed. But going through the Epstein files, you started to see real evidence of like conspiracy on the part of the elites, to sort of like psychologically mold our lives. The fact that Epstein may have had something to do with like 4chan, they're heavily like on Reddit. Like these people had their hooks in things that we had no fucking clue. Limited brands, growing up around that, you could tell that it was like a completely toxic apparatus to mold public opinion, body image, whatever, beauty standards, whatever it was. Like, it was always highly sus to me. It's a human trafficking operation. And it's logistically just a way that these people had to figure out how to manage to have like the most opulent, preferable lives for themselves. I mean, Jeffrey Epstein had the largest private residence in Manhattan. The location, everything about it could not be any better. He had a fucking private island. He had a huge ranch. He had apartments in Paris. He had fucking, a giant 737 private jet. It's like you couldn't have a better lifestyle than this guy. Like, no way. He had like the ultimate fucking choice in everything. It's like that's not a coincidence. Like these people knew how to operate, they knew how to manage, they knew how to finagle their way into, and their reach extends, and that's what the files revealed to me is their reach extends. You know, I always thought they had that much influence, but to see actual proof of it, uh and then the war happened, and then we haven't really talked about it since then very much, and it sort of got swept under the rug. I think Trump will probably die before he faces any consequences. Although, who the fuck knows? The guy might be resilient. He might hang on for 10 fucking years. Reagan was kind of a vegetable. You didn't see him at all for like after his presidency. They never really brought Reagan out for anything after he ended his presidency. But he lived to like what, 2004 or something. Just kind of in private as a private citizen on his fucking ranch with Alzheimer's, not knowing what the fuck was going on. Trump might be the same fucking thing. It might be like, he lives to be fucking 100, just with no mind attached. It's already sort of fading quickly. So I do think maybe why would they legalize weed? Why all of a sudden would they make something that was like very illegal? They put people in, 3 strikes and you're out and shit for like the last 70 years, 100 years. Now all of a sudden it's just like, yeah, fucking get shrooms, get fucking go out and do gummies, everybody. It's like your fucking parents are doing gummies and shit. Paul McCartney's got a song about gummies. It's like, what the fuck? And so, yeah, the Michelle Obama was a man thing was like my friend who just like really got lost in all this InfoWars shit. I remember that was one of the first things he said to me where I was like, are you out of your fucking mind? Like, Michelle Obama is a man? Like, first of all, what the fuck do you care? What if she is? What if they are is? Who cares? Good for them. Look, Jim Norton's got a trans fucking wife. Who gives a shit? Stop hating on these people. Let Obama enjoy his fucking. I don't. First of all, I don't. They have kids. They have two kids that look just like them. You know, Malia and Sasha. They literally look just like them. Like, not that you can't have a kid if you're trans or whatever, but like that. The kids are what, like fucking 30 years old by now or something. Like, that's Exhibit A. They have fucking kids that look just like them. Like, did Obama have the kids? Was he Mr. Dad or whatever? Mr. Mom? Where's that conspiracy theory? Obama gave birth. He's actually the one who gave birth to the twins or whatever. Fucking, uh, well, I think she has an Adam's apple, or that was like the evidence. It's like, that's just gullible. You're just gullible. When you start, you'll believe anything. Like, then he started to show me this shit about how Sandy Hook, all of that shit. It's like, come on. Like, I don't give a fuck. Like Sandy Hook is something that like is it's a horrible tragedy. It's like one of the most unspeakably horrific things that has happened like in my lifetime. And it's like I knew people that lived near there, like it was very real. It's like there are such a thing as facts. There are such a thing like Michelle Obama, like it's none of, there are, but that has been a tactic of the fascists, has been to just like completely demolish the line between like what's truth and what's reality. It's all fake news, except Michelle Obama's a man or whatever, Sandy Hook. It's like you'll believe that, but like you don't think that global warming is real or Trump is in the fucking Epstein files. It's like there are certain things that are conspiracies that like are fucking real. But like now people just believe any goddamn thing. It's like the more sensation, it's like Mothman. Ooh, what about Mothman? Let's talk about Bigfoot. Ooh, shit. Let's get to some real truth, okay? Trump is going to release the Bigfoot files, everybody. Finally, the government's been hiding it. The fucking CIA, man. The fucking CIA has been lying to you, man. It's all a fucking psyop. I saw this thing. All great American novels are like a psyop that like the CIA created. Like Hemingway, F. Scott Fitzgerald, all of it. Faulkner, they were all fucking CIA. And it's like, okay, maybe the government did have like some say in like, hey, what are the children going to read? We're going to put the fucking Great Gatsby in every fucking high school in America, or we're going to put uh I don't know what the fuck did kids read. They don't even read anymore. We read Great Expectations, we read Wuthering Heights, we read Walt Whitman, we read, my English teacher tried to read us Moby Dick. We did read The Great Gatsby. Catcher in the Rye was optional. It wasn't like required reading. You could read it for extra credit. And so they didn't indoctrinate us with that. I don't think we read any Hemingway anything in school. We read The Metamorphosis, but that was like a class choice. We read poetry. We read like John Keats. We read a little bit of Lord Byron stuff. We read the Scottish play. We read Romeo and Juliet. We read um, Julius Caesar. Is that a fucking psyop? Maybe it is. It's Shakespeare. In a certain way, it is like propaganda of the British Empire. But I don't really find Shakespeare to be like politically angled or necessarily any of this stuff. It's all a way of like examining our values. Like Great Gatsby, the reason why you read it, or we read Huckleberry Finn, right? That was a big one. I'm sure probably almost everybody reads Huckleberry Finn. And it's like that is a way of discussing, American history in a way. And it's a way of examining the situation between Huck and Jim, right? Jim is a slave. And so the whole book, they are friends. They're going down the river together. It's a way of talking about the slavery, the North and the South, race relations. Huckleberry Finn just understands that, or To Kill a Mockingbird. That was another one we read that was like very racially, it's about this guy is wrongfully accused of doing whatever to a white woman. The kids see the innocence of the people, they see the humanity, they don't see the skin color. So, in that sense, I mean, is it propaganda? I mean, I think it's a way of trying to like harmonize race relations. These stories, what is it? To Kill a Mockingbird, the quote was like, never judge a man until you walked a mile in his shoes, right? That was like a big fucking thing that they imprinted on us. It was like, you need to memorize this quote, you, and it's like, that was a way of them just trying to like get people to get along in our culture. It's part of the American experiment, whatever you want to call it, is like there's a bunch of fucking people from all over the fucking world that live here, and we've got to figure out some way to not kill each other. And so these books, I think to some degree, I mean, our school was not super integrated. It was almost entirely white kids. But it's good, I think, that we were receiving these ideas through literature, you know, and through stories. We read the Scarlet Letter. I don't know what that the fuck was about. I guess that's about like Puritan. Uh, we read the Crucible. That was about like anti-communist blacklist shit. But it's also like about Puritan witch burning and shit, which is also part of the history of this country. Salem witch trials or whatever, how they treated women. Scarlet Letter has this weird kind of like, I don't know, biblical, I guess, thing, but it's also, I don't know, about New England or transcendentalism, or I liked it a lot when I read it, actually, surprisingly. The Scarlet Letter I was like really into. I can't really remember that much about it, but I do remember like uh being engaged big time by it. Whereas like I didn't read Great Expectations or Wuthering Heights at all. I'm not really sure what that was. British literature. I don't know why the fuck I think they just taught us that as like, I don't know, is that colonialism? Is that like some kind of antiquated attachment that we have to like the British Empire? Like that's something Zhang talks about, is like Canada is like a vassal state of England. They never really got away. They still have the queen on their money and shit. It's like, well, that could maybe be said of America too. I don't know. Prince Charles, he's had a weird relationship with Trump where they both did state visits, and it's our 250th anniversary. So it's like there's daddy issues there. America's kind of the rebellious son or something, broke away, but it's still part of the family. And so we study fucking Bobby Burns and fucking Wordsworth and all that shit in high school, weirdly. But is it all a fucking psyop? I mean, it's just like patterning, I guess. They're socializing us to our culture. Is that always bad? I don't know. It was just like this is the industrious way they had of doing it. Put us in these big fucking schools, classrooms full of 30 fucking kids, and there's sort of a syllabus that just goes across the whole system. Where it's like, yeah, you're gonna read the fucking Ray Gatsby probably. Is that the CIA that did that? Like, Great Gatsby, the whole thing is about kind of like being a self-made American and the duplicity of that. It's about capitalism to some degree. It's about new money versus old money. Gatsby is trash because he's a gangster. He has all the appurtenances and the appearance of, like wealth. He's like Elon Musk or something. He's a criminal. You know, he made all his money through bootlegging and nefarious, but he has this kind of appearance of like one of these new billionaires where it's just like he's got the yacht, he's got the fucking estate, he's got the parties, but he's a sleazeball in a way. He's nouveau riche. He'll never be one of these people that like came over on the Mayflower or whatever. Like he's still just a bitch. He's still just kind of an immigrant or something. He's like a you know, he's self-made though. He went from being this guy from what he's from North Dakota or something, James Gatz, and through this program of sort of the American pulling yourself up through self-improvement. You know, he's got all these kind of like that to me is one of the most touching parts of the Great Gatsby. At the very end of the book, Nick Carraway talks about Gatsby has this like workout routine and he's got all these kind of like self motivating slogans and shit that are written down about how he's gonna like get better. He's gonna get physical fitness. You know, he's gonna work on his job or whatever. He's gonna pursue. It's like that's a lot of people in this country. There's a lot of dogma in this country about self improvement, self help, how to win friends and influence people, Dale Carnegie shit. You know, that is like a classic part of the American dream because if you're born to some kind of low station, you have low self esteem, you're just this little dirt bag, nobody. You probably have trauma, you probably have poverty. And so you have to like dream and manifest this version of yourself. And the idea in America, you could do that. I don't know. I guess you still can, but it's getting harder to attain. But in any case, The Great Gatsby is about how these old wealth people stick together. And it's sort of, I guess it's sort of about whiteness or something, if you want to call it that. Mad Men, I think, rips a lot from Great Gatsby. The way that Don Draper's kind of this dual character and he's trying to assimilate to this higher culture where like Pete and Bert and you know Roger's really like old money. He's like he's born rich. He's this kind of wealthy playboy. He just has a good time. Whereas like Don is a mongrel. He's his mother's a whore. His dad's a pimp. He grew up in a fucking whorehouse. Dick Whitman. He fucking stole this guy's identity and deserted the military. But he's so talented and charismatic and sexy that he's useful to he is their magic genie. You know, he is the creative. You know, he's the genius. He's the one they need him, but he's not one of them. You know, he's not on the same level as Roger or Bert. He's still just like their little fucking toy or something. He's their whore, you know, basically. As long as he keeps delivering the goods with his pitches and his ability to woo clients and come up with creative and to be a writer and conceptualize what people desire. See, they don't know that. They're not in touch. Don Draper comes from Pennsylvania or whatever. He understands what people want. He understands psychology. The rest of them need him, but he's exploited like all of the working talent. You know, he's only useful as long as he keeps laying the golden egg. And as soon like the Hershey pitch or whatever, they fire him right after because he starts crying and shit. He embarrasses himself. And so he's no longer useful. So he's immediately disposed. He can only play with them. And so he's trying to assimilate into kind of like WASP culture, this kind of like New England, whatever, East Coast, Brahmin, you know, Dutch Manhattan, whatever the fuck it is. Like Pete Campbell is like a Dykeman or whatever. The Dykemans have been in Manhattan since like the fucking beginning. So they're old money, like the Rothschilds. I don't know why the fuck they teach us about this in school, but it's like with Great Gatsby, it's the same thing. Tom is old money. That's why Daisy will never leave him. Gatsby might be rich, but it's a facade. It's hollow. It's really he's a romantic. He's trying to win the love of this woman who he loves by building this kind of like by getting rich as fuck. But you can't buy your way into that kind of bloodline or whatever. You'll never be a Rothschild. Maybe you'll be Epstein. But I think Epstein is part of that too. Epstein, Rothschilds, I don't know. It goes way back to Europe and shit. And people are kind of onto that conspiracy now, but uh is that all propaganda? Is that just teaching us that like this is our station in life? If you're poor, you're always going to be poor and you can't, if you're lucky you can rise up like maybe one of the ranks during your lifetime and maybe future generations will benefit from that and then they'll build from that, but like you can't really do much. I mean, Gatsby's about as successful as you could get really financially, and yet he's still just a piece of shit in their eyes. He's still just uh underclass, really. Julius Caesar is about power. It's about dictatorship. It's about uh ambition. It's about guys. I don't know. I mean, maybe this stuff is all propaganda. Maybe I'm just brainwashed in it, but it's like, but do you have better shit? What else would they fucking show us? What else would we read? What else is out there? Like, was Hemingway in the fucking CIA? Was William Faulkner in the CIA? Like, I don't think the CIA was always as nefarious as people make it out to be. I think some degree there were people, yeah, on the East Coast who went to Yale or Harvard or whatever who were company men. And I think they did think that it was their responsibility to like guide the fucking mental plot lines of like the main population of this country towards something that was like, I think their intentions were maybe better than people give them credit for, maybe not always. The CIA did a lot of other bad shit, like overthrow socialist governments or this and that, go and kill other fucking leaders of other countries. But like, you know, they're conflating all of it. And like the CIA put a lot of money into like the Paris Review and shit like that, right? Or they funded like Iowa writing program. They funded abstract expressionism. They funded uh I'm sure they had reasons for doing that. Um was it a way of like supplanting or replacing some kind of more worker created movement? Like Paris Review is sort of like this citadel of the elite, George Plimpton and shit like that. It's not a bunch of fucking. Somebody was saying John Steinbeck is CIA. I've never really read that much John Steinbeck. They said Of Mice and Men is like some kind of fucking propaganda. I've never read it. It's about the one guy's like slow and the other guy, I don't know, but uh it could be worse. Now it feels like it's worse. Now it's like a bunch of fucking lame podcasters and shit. And it's more clear like what the agenda is. Like uh was literature really that influential at those times that like that was the prime way they had of like fucking influencing public opinion was to like seed novelists or whatever that sort of espoused their point of view and their propaganda. Like, what the fuck, Hemingway? What is the propaganda there? What the fuck is he, you know, trying to fucking promote amongst the like drinking and fighting and traveling, going to bullfights, being a bro, being a man's man, shooting guns, blowing your fucking head off with a shotgun? living in Key West. I don't know. What the fuck? He's sort of like the original gentrifier in a way. He's like the original Airbnb kind of fucking tourist. White guy going places he probably shouldn't be, but is that colonization? I don't know. They wanted to encourage guys to want to explore and be macho and exploit local cultures, take advantage of the cheap living and the power of the dollar, the currency exchange rate. It's about war. I mean, farewell to arms. He gets his dick blown off. So what's the propaganda there? That doesn't exactly seem pro-war to me. It's sort of about the sadness and the lingering effects of the war. That's why they all became fucking alcoholics and shit in the 20s. So I don't know. I guess there's probably some validity to that. I would probably take a closer look at the ways that it's happening around us today. To me, it seems to be through these kind of channels, they're trying to promote right wing ideology through these fucking podcasters and shit. I don't see it. I don't know. And the novelists suck dick too. I could definitely understand if Tao Lin or fucking, these Iowa people or all these dumb bimbos that are like publishing novels now, like Madeline Cash or whatever. It's like, or even Ben Lerner. I wouldn't be surprised if Ben Lerner was Mossad. So to throw a word around that everybody likes to throw around. Everything's Mossad now. It's all Mossad. Madeline Cash is Mossad. Matthew Gazda's Mossad. All of those fucking dime square people are like right wing funded. That I was hearing about that shit back in 2022 and 2023 and 2021 and before that, before the goddamn pandemic, Red Scare and all that shit. They were always in bed with Peter Thiel money and Curtis Yarvin. They all fucking idolized Curtis Yarvin before the election. It's like that is where the fucking CIA money is going. Or I don't even it wouldn't even be considered CIA money. It's all political dark money. It's Peter Thiel. Literally, it's Peter Thiel. I mean, people have known this. We have known this. He picked JD Vance 10 fucking years ago. And it's like it dovetails with all of the dime square bullshit. Matthew Gazda and all these fucking cokeheads. There are people who got a lot of money because of the tax cuts that have been enacted since Reagan. And so they have so much fucking power now, they control everything. It's like they don't have to be in the fucking CIA. They run YouTube, they run TikTok, they run fucking Instagram, they run fucking Twitter. They own the media. They run CBS, they run fucking 60 Minutes. They're going to run CNN. Like is that the fucking CIA? Like what difference does it make? It's the same shit that these people are accusing the CIA of. It's like a psyop. It's like they are shaping public opinion by fucking pumping goddamn clavicular videos into your feed. Like Peter Thiel, clavicular is his little fuck boy or whatever. He's his little creation because this dude has shitloads of money and he's extremely interested in controlling our lives and taking power. Zuckerberg, all these people want to be like emperors. They want to be like fucking Genghis Khan and Caesar and shit. And they see their fucking opportunity. And all they need to do is seed some stupid little fucking gentrifier neighborhoods in New York. And it trickles down culturally from there. It's like, oh, I want to go to Kiki's. I never ate at fucking Kiki's. We tried to get a reservation there. It was like a 2-hour wait. I don't think they took reservations, but I never ate there. I was the political leanings of that area, plus coupled with the fact that they're literally gentrifying Chinatown. I always fucking knew that because I used to go down there. The Chinatown bus to Columbus left right there, Canal and whatever the fuck street that is, Division Street. Literally, I was down there
dozens of fucking times when Dime Square was just a Glean and Peter Thiel's fucking checkbook. And so all he has to do is like, yeah, let's put Sovereign House. Let's fucking get these sexy young fucking people that are sick of wokeness. We'll give them money. We'll seed them money. Give them a bunch of blow. Everybody moved out because of the pandemic. So now it's like all these people got apartments in Chinatown. They're hanging out. They're doing plays in their apartments that are about doing blow and being sort of reactionary, right wing fuck faces. So they're useful. They're useful. I never wanted to be a part of that. And I thought it was creepy. That's why I avoided it. That's why I don't go down there. You know, I don't go to fucking Le Dive or whatever. That was a fucking psyop. That whole shit was a fucking social experiment. And it worked. They got what they wanted. All these fucking dumbass Gen Z people, suddenly it was cool to be MAGA. It was, that was them using the media, using content to shape the attitudes. It's like they're doing it in novels. I mean, that is a weird aspect of like the downtown right wing scene is like it is a lot of fucking readings. That's like the fucking kind of like medium. It's either like a play in somebody's apartment or a reading. Maybe there's bands and shit. God knows stand up comedy in Manhattan is super right wing, but that is like that's not really Dime Square. That's more like Fox News, McDougal Street shit. All of those people somehow are like right wing. Somehow it makes no sense. Sherrod Small is on fucking Fox News, and fucking Nick DiPaolo's fucking right wing, and it kind of filters down from there. The owners of the clubs are right wing. The comedy is like subconsciously all fucking super right wing. And then we saw that during the election. Tony Hinchcliffe and fucking Shane Gillis, and Shane Gillis is at the goddamn UFC fight. I hope it does end the motherfucker's career. How many times are people going to fall for this ceasefire thing? It's just like two steps forward, one step back. It's like we bombed the shit out of them. Oh, now the war's over. But now we're going to go back in and bomb the fuck out of them again because they didn't do this or we just wanted to. Psych. We're actually going to kill your leadership again. I mean, Trump killed their entire fucking leadership. They bombed a school full of children. It was like an all girls school. And yet $300 billion is going to just like wipe that away. That's fucking insanity to me. So I'm more focused on that shit. It's like there's one Joshua Cinderella, and he's like, the leftists, which I think, but there's a million fucking other guys. There's a million fucking Jordan Petersons and fucking Bert Kreischers and Joe Rogans and Andrew Schultz's, and even Andrew Callahan is basically right wing. Nick Fuentes. It's like the list goes on and on and on, and there's very little fucking. There's Hassan Piker, right? Is like the leftist. It's like, and I don't want to listen to anything that motherfucker has to say anyway. I just think he's annoying. Does anybody watch? Who the fuck is watching Hassan Piker? Like for real? Like, I think he's a fucking psyop. Um, it's everywhere. These novels that people are writing that's just about like being rich and fucking like hot and vapid. It's like that definitely like Tao Lin is not, there's not a whole lot of substance there. He's basically RFK Jr. Politically. He thinks everybody should fucking leave society and blah blah blah, and he's like a kind of a naturopath, and he's an anti-vaxxer and all this. Uh, so it's very obvious, but all of the people that suddenly own all of the media channels, they are working with this administration for this administration. They want to destroy the government. They want to destroy the social safety net. They want to make money off of it. Like, they want war, they want discord, they want to control us, they want to surveil us, they want to put these fucking data centers in, they want to kill us. They want to get rid of our health care, they want to get rid of our fucking whatever it is. SNAP benefits. Meanwhile, Elon Musk can make a fucking $1 trillion off government contracts and shit. I also did want to talk about, I mean, this is a little bit more of a lighthearted thing, because one of the big discourses on Twitter right now is like, what is better, Seinfeld or Curb Your Enthusiasm? Personally, I think it's a psyop. I do think there's some truth to that. Like, Seinfeld was like, I don't think it was like intentional per se, but like Seinfeld was the first show that like kind of atomized the characters into these like narcissistic, city dwelling. They're kind of bad people, like they're super judgmental, everybody's disposable. Like Seinfeld, when I was a kid, that was the lifestyle you wanted. You wanted to be like Jerry. You wanted to have your own apartment and be dating all these hot chicks every week, and he's eating fucking cereal, and like he doesn't have to go to work. He's obsessed with Superman, comic books. He's just a comic book nerd. He's a man child. He's a stand-up comedian, and they just have these kind of fun, quirky, but in a certain way, like ultimately meaningless social adventures. Like they don't have kids. There's no kind of like long lasting, their families are there, but there's, Jerry's parents live in Florida. George's parents are a little too. So it's like it's kind of a narcissistic, selfish. It created this like professional urban that like I feel like maybe not everybody, but like a lot of people, like that's what New York is now. It's a bunch of people that grew up watching Seinfeld and Friends and shit like that, and shows that sort of like descended from that. Always Sunny, How I Met Your Mother, whatever it is, and they all moved to New York now to be a part of the pedestrian singles, financial marketplace. You can make money here. You get and like there's tons of restaurants, there's tons of fucking culture, there's tons of like dating, there's a beach, there's fucking um it's less about family values. It's less about, like every other sitcom before that was like this sort of like earnest. There was always a lesson and hugging and fucking things like Family Ties or what's the one with Alan Thicke? Every fucking show was like some kind of nuclear family. Family Matters, Step by Step. They were all like about families, basically. The fucking Simpsons. And Seinfeld is like these very narcissistic, self-involved individuals uh squabbling over just like meaningless, how many fucking berries are in the muffin top or whatever the hell it is. Just like shit, blowing shit that doesn't matter because you have nothing bigger to worry about. It's like there is no God. Anybody can just get divorced. It used to be like really hard to get divorced. It's like once you were married, like if you got divorced, it was like shame on you forever. You're going to go to hell. The church lost all its power, basically. No one really feels like the threat of hell anymore at all. It's just like go out, hook up with whoever you want, be totally selfish. Don't honor thy father and mother, covet thy neighbor's wife, get divorced, live in sin. All this shit that would have been like unthinkable to our grandparents. Have an abortion, that would have been unthinkable in like the 50s. Date a, minority. Um, and now it's just like, look at our fucking president. Nobody gives a fuck that he's like raped a bunch of children and stuff. It's like, yeah, great. I'm gonna vote for him 4 times. He's still better than Hillary. I don't care how many children he killed or fucking his wives. I don't care that he wants to have sex with his own children. He's got my vote. He's fighting for America. He's going to bring these prices down. So anyway, the way that I look at it with Curb Your Enthusiasm versus Seinfeld, it's like they're sort of different things. I think that Seinfeld was like a necessary, and I think everybody knows it's like they're 2 works of like they're really the works of Larry David. Jerry Seinfeld's comedic sensibility definitely like influenced that show, but like they're basically the same fucking show in a lot of ways. But what I would say is like the mode of production is kind of what's interesting about it to me. And like, I do think that probably more people now, like Seinfeld is kind of dated, maybe. The way it's a 3-camera sitcom, it's scripted. Probably some of the portrayals of the minority characters are probably not as cool as they were at the time. It's maybe a little bit racist. A little. It's not horribly racist. It could be worse, but like probably some of the secondary characters are a little bit more like caricatures, I guess. Babar, what's the guy who has the restaurant? Jerry gets him deported accidentally. I wouldn't say it's like necessarily hateful. Is Larry David Mossad? Is Jerry Seinfeld Mossad? Kinda. You saw his video about Palestine doesn't exist. They asked Jerry to say "Free Palestine" out front of the Knicks game. He's like, "It doesn't exist." It's like, ugh, wrong answer, Jerry. Wrong answer. That's a fucked up thing to say. I mean, even if you believe in that Israel has a right to exist, you definitely shouldn't say Palestine does. That's just ignorant. Like, it does exist. Like, historically, Palestine is what is real, not isn't real. Like, to say Palestine doesn't exist is like an incredibly violent, like, ignorant thing to say. That's basically saying, like, you want to genocide these people. That's what doesn't exist mean. That's like saying, oh, the Jews don't exist. They don't exist. We made them not exist anymore. It's like, that's a fucked up thing to say. It's a genocidal thing to say. And so I kind of get some of the hate that people might have to Seinfeld because it's like Jerry is not as talented as maybe people made him out to be. At the time, Larry, nobody even knew who fucking Larry David was until Curb Your Enthusiasm. He was very much behind the scenes. As I remember seeing a picture of Larry David, my mom had this book that was like a Seinfeld like trivia book that was published in maybe like 1996 or something with all these sort of like behind the scenes shit. And there was a black and white, the whole thing was black and white. It was like something you'd buy at Media Play or like Borders Books or whatever. It was like a, Christmas gift type book. And there was black and white picture, and it was Larry David, Jerry, and Carol Leifer, who was sort of the character that Elaine was based on. And it was like you did not see a picture of Larry David anywhere. It was like the only picture of Larry David I'd ever seen in my life until Curb Your Enthusiasm. And I remember when Curb Your Enthusiasm came out because it was sort of like, okay, what's this guy going to do? This is the guy George was based on him in Seinfeld, right? So you're like, okay, Larry David's like George somehow. He's bald and he's like pissed off. He like yells. It's like they are different, they are different. George is more kind of like diabolical, I think. He's more kind of like a satanic character. Uh, that was my sense of Seinfeld in the 90s. It was like George was like this great literary character because he was just like such a piece of shit. So many things George did, like he killed his wife with wedding invitations. Like, geez, he didn't necessarily do it on purpose, but in any case, I think part of the revolution of Curb Your Enthusiasm was, I would say, one of the first shows, if not the first. I mean, I guess Larry Sanders kind of predates it, but like the way that Curb Your Enthusiasm created its own process and invented this sort of method with digital video. I think digital video, I don't know if they ever shot Curb on film. Maybe they did. But I think they realized like it's better if we improvise. Larry David didn't want to write scripts or whatever. He just kind of wanted to write ideas or outlines, but he figured out a way that made it work for him, and it actually worked better because he's a really good actor. This is a guy who probably traditionally was not really that much of an actor. He was like a stand-up and a writer, and he was on Fridays and shit like that, but he was kind of more of a behind the scenes guy. He didn't really have the look, I guess. Seinfeld is more kind of network TV presentable. He's clean, he's neat, he's got hair. Like Jerry Seinfeld is like this likable, plus, whereas like Larry David is like Woody Allen times, plus fucking, I don't even know. He's definitely like a type. And so HBO was kind of the place for that. It was a little edgier. There's profanity, but I think not really enough gets talked about the method of Curb Your Enthusiasm. It's like I don't exactly my impression of it was like Larry David didn't have a bunch of influences or something that he was trying to imitate. I think they just figured it out pragmatically and functionally. This is what worked. He didn't want to memorize lines. It would feel forced. It would feel unnatural to him. I was like improvising. It's like he's really in the situation. They're really reacting to each other. They get the best actors on that show. I mean, they've had everybody on that fucking show. Fucking Rosie O'Donnell, Martin Short, everybody, Richard Lewis, everybody, Super Dave. Everybody's been on fucking Curb Your Enthusiasm. Lin-Manuel Miranda, fucking Stephen Colbert. It's just like the list is endless. Wanda Sykes, he's able to get the most out of people. Michael J. Fox. And that's part of the fun, is seeing these people kind of play themselves, riff on their public persona. Mel Brooks is on the fucking show, for Christ's sake. Ben Stiller, David Schwimmer. It's like Gina Gershon. The list just goes on and on and on. Cheryl Hines. And he was, they're not putting in these like stilted sitcom performances where it's like scripted and they're kind of nail these lines. Like that's what Seinfeld is. Seinfeld is more like a play. It's like every week it's scenes, they're trying to capture like kind of a naturalistic vernacular, and that was part of what made Seinfeld like a really hot show. Was like they'd say shit on the show that would go viral, like yada yada yada, or a Seinfeld episode would happen, and then fucking the next week everybody would be saying yada 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 or whatever the fuck it was. Serenity Now, Master of Your Domain. Seinfeld had so many sort of like memorable turns of phrase that kind of lived on in pop culture. And it was more like, I guess, a literary thing where it's like it's sort of there's interactions it has with that. There's like the John Cheever episode. There's an episode about the New Yorker cartoons. Like you could tell Larry was like adjacent to like literary world, and I think he conceived of himself as like a writer. like he was a writer. He dated what, Monica Yates, like the Elaine character is sort of based on Monica Yates, who was Richard Yates's daughter, who wrote Revolutionary Road and was like this really serious kind of like New England literary novelist, very respected, very much a part of like the establishment. You know, this is like, and so Elaine works for Mr. Pitt. Mr. Pitt is a publisher. Elaine's in publishing. Even Peterman is like sort of like a literary character. It's all about the highfalutin kind of purple prose of the catalogs. And so Seinfeld was always sort of part of that like Upper East Side, you know, office kind of publishing world, even though he's a stand-up comedian and a lot of that show lives in the streets and in clubs and things like that. Um, Whereas like Curb Your Enthusiasm is more like this experimental film or something. It's like a fucking Cassavetes movie or something where it's like, okay, we know what the scene is. We're gonna do it. We'll do a bunch of takes, and they sort of put it together in the edit. They pick the best stuff, and they really build that show in the editing like so fucking well. Like, and so to me, as like a young filmmaker, I was really actually inspired by Curb Your Enthusiasm. It felt like this is the direction that filmmaking should go in. It's like, yeah, they should encourage the actors to improvise. It actually does feel weird that like there's this screenplay format and you know it's got to be fully fleshed out and this and that. It's like that's not always necessary. It's like sometimes you can get real people to be in the scene and it works. You know, a lot of the best movies ever made are like non-professional actors. Like I think Curb Your Enthusiasm, like they had fucking Martin Scorsese in it. You know, it's like it doesn't get enough credit. And like I said, maybe they were sort of borrowing this shit from other things like Spinal Tap. You know, there was improvisational filmmaking. You know, Second City, Christopher Guest movies, Guffman, Best in Show. I think had come out by that point. And so Larry David, I'm sure, was a part of that and like around that kind of improv culture. And the people he got on staff, on you know, Jeff Garland came out of Second City. Like, did Susie Essman go to Second City? Paul Dooley. You know, it's like they got a lot of people. Who's the guy? The director guy, David Steinberg, directed a bunch of Curb Your Enthusiasm. It's like he's a Second City guy. It's like that's the improv culture. That's um, and incorporating that into the technique. I think the technology was ready. It would be harder to do that on a film. It'd be more expensive. You know, the magazines only last so long. Digital video, it's like you can really let it rip and you can write on video. And so I think they're kind of just like they're different. You know, like Seinfeld has these more kind of labyrinthian plot lines that pay off in these kind of incredible ways. And the production of it in hindsight, and now that the world has kind of moved into this more, you know, immediate like I think Curb was a precursor to like social media and a lot of the content and things where it's like it's an auto fiction. Larry's playing himself. You know, he's getting his friends to play themselves. Richard Lewis plays himself. It's based on his own life. They go, it's all filmed in LA on location. It's not on a fucking set. They go to Dodger Stadium. They go to fucking Palestinian Chicken. They come to New York. They're on fucking Broadway. It's like that was exciting. That's like new wave. You know, that's like fucking a neo-realism or something. You know, it's like it's as a low budget filmmaker, uh, Jesus Christ. Um, that was inspirational to me. That was like the techniques that I wanted to adopt and try to, because I don't know, as an actor, as a performer, I find it more exciting. It's like you can be more fully invested if like you're allowed to improvise, if you're allowed to sort of like, and to be honest, a lot of times it works better. You know, it's like and it probably gives the other actors more agency. They probably feel more invested. It's like, yeah, I get to create my own lines. I get to be one of the collaborators. I'm not just here saying a bunch of shit that this person is telling me to do and like it's written this way and it has to be this way and if I don't do it right then
they need to get somebody else. And it's like, I kind of like, it's more like jazz or something, right? It's more just like jamming. It's like you get to use your ideas, you're listening, it can lead to a more authentic, and the technology has arrived, right? Like you know, I love improv theater and things, but like traditionally plays are very scripted, they're directed. It's just like with literature, it's like everything's kind of nailed down, it's nailed to the page is the kind of blueprint. And now it's like we have this technology that allows us to go a little more directly, a little more, endlessly. It's like you can fucking stream forever. You can, I mean, some of these streamers like Kai Cenat or Speed, where they go out into the world and they interact with people, and it's like their families on the stream. It's like that's the next step in the logical progression of like Curb Your Enthusiasm. That's sort of what I was trying to do with my vlogs, where it's like there is still a step where like Larry David is scripting it to some degree. Like Curb did have scripts, it did have a story, it had lines. There were certain lines the actors did need to say. It wasn't totally scripted, but there was like a treatment, you might say. It was probably more like a short story or something, where it's like these are the beats, and so it's not totally improvised. It's not like going out and just making a movie with your friends and fucking high school or whatever. It's like they do have something to fall back on, and there are ideas in it that Larry David thinks are funny. He's got a whole staff of people that are like super Ashkenazi genius comedy writer people, Alec Berg and Larry Charles and this whole team, Tom Mandel, that like worked with him on Seinfeld and like are his trusted collaborators, and he can bounce ideas off them, and like there is like a testing ground for the ideas that like it doesn't really get into the episode unless all of these guys think it's funny, they all think it works, and then they can guide the improv to get like the best stuff, to get really funny stuff. And to be honest, I think it is like a little bit better of a test because it's like something either immediately works and they all laugh at it, or like they cut it. And it's like if they get together, and to be honest, like I just that's something I feel about human interaction in general. It's like if you get together with your friends, it's like funny stuff happens kind of effortlessly. Really smart things happen effortlessly. For me, with my vlogs, it's like I was trying to capture that. I was trying to capture moments of reality that were transcendent, that were entertaining, that were poetic as they happened, almost like capturing a butterfly or something. It's less like, because a lot of auto fiction or like Seinfeld was like, oh, this is something that happened to Larry David in his real life, right? He quit Saturday Night Live, he walked out, and then he went back on Monday like nothing had happened. But because of the nature of the production at the time, three camera, studio audience sitcom, the best way they had to do it was he wrote it. He's got this George character. They hired an actor, Jason Alexander. He'd been on fucking Broadway and shit to sort of perform. Larry David's not really a professional actor. I mean, he is now that he's done Curb Your Enthusiasm for 20 years. He's been in fucking Woody Allen movies and shit. But like at the time, he probably would have been uncomfortable doing that. He wasn't really like a television actor, at least not a network at that time. It's like they're going to hire fucking Kelsey Grammer or some shit, or, they're going to get Michael Richards. They're not going to get Kenny Kramer. It's like they're not going to get the real guy. Whereas, like, Larry David's like the real fucking guy. He's got this kind of New York edge to him. He's got this kind of Woody Allen quality or something. Whereas like Jason Alexander, a little more friendly, family maybe. And so that was the best way he had of like sort of like, well, this was a funny thing that happened to me, and boom, I'm going to put it into the fucking show because I don't know why. Why didn't Larry David come up with like, probably because out of laziness to some degree, I don't think he wanted to spend a bunch of time coming up with like fictional characters, and he probably wasn't even interested. He probably just was like,
he gave two shits about Seinfeld. You hear him talk about it. He's like, I don't care if this fucking thing gets canceled or not. It's just like he probably wanted to do as little work as possible. And I don't know. I think there are things about Seinfeld and Curb Your Enthusiasm that, like, conceptually are incredibly smart. They're incredibly simple and they're well executed, almost like the Beatles. It's like they have these very playful ideas where it's like the show is about the life of a stand-up comedian and how he gets his material. That's like the concept. And so the idea is you're just seeing Jerry in his life, which is sort of Larry's life. He's got an apartment on the Upper West Side. He dates all these women. He goes out, he does sets. He's got friends. His friends are like fuck ups. They bring some comedy into it too. But it's like he's not playing Hamlet. He's not playing Cyrano de Bergerac. It's like is not really a fucking, he doesn't have to act. All he has to do is like be himself and not fuck it up. And so I think to some degree that's like just pure laziness. It takes a lot more time to like invent something that in putting yourself into character shoes and shit that like didn't actually happen. But at the same time, like a lot of literature, a lot of writing is based on life. Um, I do think it's kind of the death of the imagination, or like there could be more fiction in fiction now. In fact, I don't even know that fiction exists anymore. Like, I could you call Seinfeld like fiction? Like, it's almost like nonfiction. Like, Curb Your Enthusiasm is almost like nonfiction. It's not a documentary, but it's almost like a reenactment. I mean, I'm sure there are a lot of things that happen on Curb Your Enthusiasm that are like fictional. Like maybe they didn't happen. Like, was there really like a Nazi kid or whatever, or like a gay kid? Like, I don't know. Maybe that was based on some real shit that happened to him. I think it all is, to be honest. I think Larry David just like lives his life crazy because that's life. Crazy shit happens, coincidences, synchronicities, accidents, weird payoffs, the Rube Goldberg machine of like chance. Like, I think that was as a kid in the 90s when Seinfeld was on, that was why it was mind blowing. The way that they would intertwine the storylines and kind of make them all combust together at the end of the episode was like magic. It was like, how the fuck did they do that? It really was like almost like a Beatles album or something. When it was certain Seinfeld episodes, and Curb does it too. Like Curb definitely has stuff that comes back and pays off in unexpected ways and kind of like funny, reverse engineered ways. And Arrested Development stole shit from that, and a lot of things have adopted that. A lot of shows like probably take more after Curb. Like Arrested Development, The Office, a lot of sitcoms, Modern Family, after Curb, sort of it's almost like a reality TV model where it's like we have cheap, endless like equipment now where we can just record everything. We can literally just put these fucking people in a house and record every goddamn thing and have them all do like narration where they go into like a photo booth and fucking tell their side of the story, like the real world or whatever. Like, in a certain way, Curb Your Enthusiasm is just like applying reality show technique to like something that's sort of scripted. Like uh it's basically a reality show about Larry David, but he doesn't waste your time with like the frivolities, and it's not like a lot of these shows. Like I don't really watch them, but like Keeping Up the Kardashians and shit, it feels like a little forced. Feels like kind of stagey, and like there are definitely moments that happen and shit, but like the production quality is super low. The music is kind of cringe. Like Curb Your Enthusiasm still has like, I don't know. I guess they all have like an aesthetic, but the music of Curb, the cinematic technique of Curb. I think movies can go more in that direction, and I don't know, it's sort of a precursor to streaming and auto fiction. And so I think Larry David as an artist, like, you don't really need to say one. I get why people today, specifically younger people, might not think Seinfeld is as great. Like Curb Your Enthusiasm, I think is like generally just like viscerally probably like a funnier show. It's just like if you grew up watching reality television and content on your phone, like the world looks way more like Curb Your Enthusiasm than it does like Seinfeld. Like Seinfeld has production values. It's like they build sets, they hire actors, the colors are very specifically chosen. Like the aesthetic of Seinfeld is like highly meticulous. It's highly like mediated, where it's like there are steps in the production process that like divide the audience from like a first-hand account. There's more of a fourth wall. Whereas like Curb Your Enthusiasm, it's almost like you're just there. It's like you're just a part of this kind of naturalist. You're at fucking Dodger Stadium, or like I mean, it's one of the best depictions of LA there is. Like Curb Your Enthusiasm is what LA like really looks like. And New York, like the way that they film New York in Curb Your Enthusiasm. It's like, as far as I'm concerned, there's not that many things that like actually capture what New York actually looks like. Usually when they film New York, like I say, they use these kind of more mediated framing. The cameras come off the sticks in the last 20 years. It's like it's not like you have this big fucking film apparatus with like a fucking blimp and tracks and shit. Like you need to plan shit out better when you have these the when the production process is more labor intensive. When there's things like you need to load magazines, you're working with film, you need to make sure it doesn't get exposed. Lighting is a whole fucking thing. Like all of that shit slows down the production process. So it's like they want a script, they want to make sure that like these ideas are going to work, they're going to land. They want actors, they want this, they want that, costumes. Curb, it's like he wears his own fucking clothes basically. Like it's like they've taken the mediation and the wall between the viewer and the production, and they've minimized it as much as they can. And from like an artistic process point of view, for whatever reason, I don't know. I prefer that. I prefer a more direct, immediate, because it goes back to like new wave. It's like you see the 400 blows, but then you see Breathless. It's like Breathless. It's like they fucking barely have lighting or anything. It's like they're just running around with a fucking camera, basically. It's like I don't know why, but maybe that's like a more of an instant gratification thing, or like if as an actor, right? I think one of the frustrations of like film acting is like you're in these little pieces. It's like, well, we'll do the reverse on you, and then we'll go back and film the other guy. It's like you're only doing a page or something. You're only in a scene for like 30 seconds, a minute, 2 minutes. You're not in it for 2 hours. You're not in it for 5 minutes. Whereas like Curb, it's like they got multiple cameras. They're on you. They're on Larry. We're going to do the whole fucking thing right now. And like, that's going to be the take. I heard this thing about Clint Eastwood only does one or two takes. Matt Damon was on that movie, whatever, Invictus or whatever, where he had to learn some South African accent. And he said the first shot they did, Clint Eastwood did one take. And he's like, wait a minute, don't you want to do another one? It's like, Clint Eastwood's like, why? You want to waste everybody's time? I kind of like that. I kind of like that. I don't really think the problem is I wouldn't do one take, but I don't think once you get more than like 10 takes of something, it's like it's hard to fucking keep track because you just have so much shit to pick from. It's hard to be like, well, is that the best one, or is that like I don't fucking know. It's like I kind of like this. I mean, obviously, I'm like a one take lo-fi guy, but I do think that like artistically I don't know. It feels more proletariat. I guess my whole allegiance with like poverty and like the underclass, not having a budget, things, something like Curb Your Enthusiasm when I was in college making movies was like, I can make something that kind of looks like that, probably. Seinfeld, like, you need a lot of money to do that. You need to build a set. You need to fucking. But that show even was always striving to be more naturalistic. The way that they film on like a New York street set, and they go out into all these different locations in the real world. They go to Yankee Stadium. They go. I mean, they don't go to the actual Yankee Stadium, but like it's a little bit more tied to like an actual geography, and there's a whole fictional universe to Seinfeld that I think the mediation and the aestheticization and the choices that are made, how it's going to look, actually make it like more identifiable. It's more recognizable. There's a little bit more. I mean, Curb Your Enthusiasm is lucky in a way because it was the first show that did that, where it's like it was the first show that was really just like handheld cameras on location, improv, out in the real world. Probably a lot of natural lighting. I can't imagine they use a lot of equipment. Maybe they have a reflector or some, blockers and shit. But I can't imagine Curb Your Enthusiasm has like a lot of like a huge lighting package. They probably have a very small crew, and it's like a run and gun thing. I imagine. I don't know that for sure. I don't think Larry wants to waste a bunch of time on set. I think he wants to go and do it and then go to the fucking Laker game or whatever. I don't think he wants to be around 16-hour days or 20-hour days or something. I think he probably wants to do as little as possible, be himself as much as possible, but he knows where it counts. The story is where it counts. And like Curb Your Enthusiasm, man, it's like, look at how many fucking women think they're Larry David. It's like a phenomenon. It's like there's all these hot chicks that and our culture is just like Larry David is like one of the most famous, admired people in this fucking country. And even more than Jerry Seinfeld. People look at Seinfeld like he's just this kind of charlatan, like hack Zionist, which he is. I mean, we saw in Frosted, it was a piece of shit. It was a monumental piece of shit. And you can see, I mean, not that Jerry Seinfeld isn't like talented. Like I do like Jerry Seinfeld. I do think that he's like, funny and smart, and he takes himself a little too seriously now, and he should rethink his fucking position on Palestine, but he's Mossad. Seinfeld is Mossad. Larry David is Mossad. No, I think Larry David is not a bad person. Even though I think these shows, in a way, I don't know. Like, he's famous for what? Like, kind of being a dick, or like calling people on their bullshit. Like, the Larry David character has kind of become this avatar of he can't really keep his mouth shut. If like there's some bullshit, it's like he's gonna be like, well, what's an example? You double dip the chip. Um, I saw this one. He took too many napkins for his sandwich, so he got pulled over by the cops. Uh, and so he's a truth teller. He has boundaries. He doesn't put up with bullshit. He's authentic. He's honest. But it's all about like going to dinner. It's like he has like social standards. He tries to do the right thing, where it's like, it's like he's gonna bring wine to the function or whatever. He's gonna bring a babka. He's gonna bring something. It's like he's gonna go to the fucking shul or whatever. He's gonna go to a temple. You know. Uh. So I think in some ways, Curb is like an extension of Seinfeld, but it's also they're also I think they're both worth watching. Definitely. I mean, I think for me personally, like Seinfeld, I think has a construction to it that I really admire. Like it does feel like a fictional universe and it feels a little bit more considered. Whereas, like, Curb Your Enthusiasm has some of that. There's definitely like a fictional universe, but it's not as defined. It's not as declared. It's more just like capturing reality, but it's really groundbreaking. I mean, they're both groundbreaking. I don't even think Larry David intended it that way. I think he was just adapting the process to something that he was comfortable with. And he had smart people around him that sort of like really made it work and brought it to life, maybe people like David Steinberg or Larry Charles or whatever. Uh, and Seinfeld, they were sort of figuring it out as they went, things like what the characters were, that they could do season long arcs. You see all that stuff kind of take shape by season 3 and 4 and 5. It's like that's when they sort of figured out, okay, like we're gonna have continuity, we're gonna have this is who George is, this is what this show is. They're sort of finding it. Curb Your Enthusiasm, it's like Larry David already had a lot of those tools in his kit where it's like he had this signature where it's like the plots kind of all come back and pay off together, or in unexpected ways, something will come back at the end of the episode and sort of pay off. That stuff is really satisfying to the viewer. Like people love that shit because I don't know why. It's like peekaboo or something. It's like a surprise. It's like it's patently obvious, but totally inevitable, as David Lee Roth said. And I think so. In a certain way, Curb was building on something that already existed. He already kind of had this aesthetic comedically, where it's like the George character is sort of like a precursor, or all really the Jerry character. Now when I watch Seinfeld, I'm like Jerry is more like Larry. George is like this. He's kind of like Larry too, but like a lot of the stuff that like would be a Curb Your Enthusiasm plot line like happens to Jerry. And so it's like when you watch Seinfeld now, it's like everybody can see like, oh my god, like this is the same fucking show basically in a lot of ways. Like the things that it finds funny, sort of nadling with language, these little kind of like Jewish, bantering things. Where does the button go? Or like soup, like being obsessed like sandwiches, diners, uh, show about nothing. Or it's a show about, social decorum, how to behave as like an adult in adult society. Some people break the rules, they have to be reprimanded. Um, I mean, so I can understand why people think Curb Your Enthusiasm is like a superior thing. I think Seinfeld was contending more with, it's contending with a network. It's contending with like, you got to understand, like it was like after Cheers and shit. Like Seinfeld it was just another sitcom and like a whole fucking the 90s. It was like a universe of sitcoms. I mean, there were so many fucking sitcoms. Jesus Christ. News Radio and Becker and Cheers and The Single Guy, Caroline in the City, Friends, the My Two Dads. The shit before Seinfeld was way more family oriented. It was way more like a living room thing. Full House, Growing Pains. Uh, there was that was the best way they had of sort of like getting these stories into your television. there was barely cable television. This is before the internet. The cameras were this fucking big. They were 480p. They had as third as HD as they were now. Even fucking HBO and shit was HD. Or I'm sorry, standard. It was low res. It was 640 by 480. And so the fact that Seinfeld, it had to sort of prove that these ideas would work. It was not like these other shows, whereas like, by HBO is a whole different beast where it's like they sort of enable the artists, they're much more of like an auteur driven network. Things like Sopranos, Larry Sanders Show, it was prestige television, right? I mean, HBO really was the fucking gold standard like forever. I don't really know that it is anymore. HBO kind of fell off with David Zaslav and HBO Max and shit. I mean, Euphoria, I guess, was on HBO, Secession. It's still one of, I mean, Netflix maybe kind of took its throne for a little while. HBO kind of fucked up for a minute with Game of Thrones, with the way they fucked that up. And I mean, Curb was a big part of their fucking, it was like the anchor because it was on forever. I mean, Curb was on for 25 fucking years. It started in 2000 or something and it just went off, last year or something, 2 years ago. Like, that's insane. TV shows did not last that long in the fucking 90s. It was like Seinfeld was way more episodes, maybe, but it was only, what, 7 seasons? Like, I do think Jerry quit because he knew he couldn't do it anymore. I think he says all this bullshit about, like, well, we wanted to go out on top. It's like, that's bullshit. It's like he knew that the show was sort of not what it was, even though the later seasons of Seinfeld are really interesting and innovative. It's definitely a different comedic sensibility. You could tell they just hired the hottest comedy writers from Harvard and the fucking Simpsons and Letterman. And it wasn't really like a Larry David thing. It wasn't. Larry David has this magic. I don't know what the fuck it is. He really has some kind of weird magic. Some kind of Jewish magic. I don't know. Like he really is able to fucking like bring this shit together in crazy fucking ways. And Jerry wasn't doing that shit. If Jerry did his own sitcom, it would have got canceled in fucking the first season. But I think they were adapting certain film, they were adapting like Albert Brooks stuff and Woody Allen stuff kind of on TV. And Curb really more developed. It was almost like taking Seinfeld and like stripping the process down so like Larry David could just like play golf, and I don't think he wanted to work that hard, but I think he wanted to stay busy and still make work and be on TV and try to be famous and shit. And look at it worked like gangbusters. I mean, maybe Curb is a better fucking show. I don't know. To me, Seinfeld, it's like there's four main characters. And so you're getting this more kind of like intertwining, complex storytelling. Curb, it's really more about Larry. There's definitely other characters. They're definitely memorable. But it's like he divorces his wife. That's pretty amazing. I think that's one of the prime achievements of Larry David is like before Seinfeld, TV was just like every episode reset and was like a brand new, it just every episode, it was almost like some weird limbo. It's like purgatory. Every Simpsons episode is like totally isolated. None of them has any effect on any, the characters don't get older, they don't change. It's just like these capsulated stories, compartmentalized. And so I think they saw Twin Peaks. I think Seinfeld was like really influenced by Twin Peaks, actually. They've got a lot of the same actors. A lot of the people who were on Twin Peaks were on Seinfeld. Susan's mom. And Twin Peaks was like narrative seasons that were linear and added up to like one huge movie that's like fucking however long, dozens of hours long. Seinfeld started to do that in like 93, 94, where there was continuity. So it's like, it's kind of a no brainer, a lot of this shit. It's like, yeah, that makes sense. Why the fuck wouldn't they do that? But, uh, and then Curb, it's the same thing. It's like he gets divorced in real life, he got divorced on the show. It's like, why the fuck not? Why pretend like the Simpsons are still fucking like it's the 90s? It's like Homer and Marge went to prom in like what, 1970 or something? Like 1970, sometime in the fucking 70s. It's like they'd be what, like 60, they'd be in their 60s. And yet they still pretend like the Simpsons are like boomers and shit. It's like, it's kind of weird. So I think a lot of Larry David's process is just like he doesn't want to do shit that feels like forced or like it. Yeah, it's not going to work. I mean, I'm not really comfortable doing that. I don't want to do that. Why pretend like I didn't get divorced? Why keep doing that? Like, let's just get rid of this character, like his real life. His new show looks pretty good, actually. This thing about the history or whatever. I saw the preview. It actually does look kind of funny. It looks just like Drunk History on fucking Comedy Central, but it does look like a funny show. So I'm glad he's still out there. I'm glad he's still doing shit. You know, who knew this fucking 80-year-old bald? But there you go. It's about the ideas. It's not really about commerciality or like what the studios perceive of as commerciality. It's like if you tried to sell Larry David as like this fucking like sex symbol, like cultural, the casting directors would be like, okay, sure. But it's like the proof is in the pudding. It's like he is that. It's like everybody recognizes Larry David. He's a fucking genius. He's got mad respect. Hoes want to bang him. Hoes want to be with him. Hoes want to be with him. They want to be him. They are him. I think women, like, the thing about, I heard somebody say like women are like a mirror, like they're gonna show you who you are. Like, I don't know if it's biological or like social conditioning. They get so much validation or they get so much attention unwanted that like they have less, they're not trying to lie to get laid like men are. Men are just trying to lie to have sex. So they will say anything. Yeah, yeah, that's great. I love it. I was like, women are more just like honest. They're more just like, that sucked. If you do something good, they'll tell you about that. But they're not gonna like mince words about, I don't know. This is a generalization, obviously. But and it feels like women respond to authenticity. Maybe everybody does. But I think they're just so used to like people bullshitting with them and like trying to lie to them or tell them some kind of story to like holla at them or what. And so I think they can relate to Larry David, and that like Larry David just like calls people on bullshit. It's all like, well, and it's all just about nitpicking like social graces and like, uh, dinner, where they're gonna, blah blah blah, dinner, going to a restaurant, reservations. It's always some kind of nitpicking fucking. It's like that's kind of the world that women live in. Going out to lunch and going out to dinner, and what am I gonna wear? what's the proper way to do this? What's the etiquette? What's the social? One of the genius things of Seinfeld was that it like revealed that there is, or it made people obsessed with like this social. There's like this unwritten social code. We're in this world. We're no longer bound by religion or sort of like whatever old fashioned values. Society is kind of post sexual revolution. We're all these independent contractor. Women are in the workforce. They're cool with, Seinfeld was very progressive about gay culture for the time. There's a lesbian wedding and there's this and that. And, there is this like, we're all supposed to just know this shit. We're supposed to know the proper way to, uh, you know, you can't dip the chip twice. You just can't do that. And so it's like, it sort of manifested this thing that was like in the culture where it's like, what are the fucking rules? There are certain things that happen that, like, okay, well, you can't take more than two napkins with your sandwich. You just can't. It's a matter of life and death, okay? It's very serious. And it's something we all can relate to because it's like a lot of times you order a sandwich and like they don't give you enough napkins. It's like, what are you supposed to do? And that's like what all of those shows are about is like sort of inconsequential things in a lot of ways. What's the one where the chef he hires has got Tourette's or whatever? See, all of the Curb Your Enthusiasm ideas, it's like you can almost just say them, or Seinfeld ideas are like that too. And it's like they're just funny. They're just funny ideas. The chef is so good, but he's got Tourette's. And so Larry's trying to open this restaurant. And right at the opening, the chef he goes, motherfucker, piss shit, or whatever he says. And so what does Larry do? It's a chance for Larry to be a hero. He can do something to stand up for somebody for once in his life. And so what does he do? He starts yelling obscenities. It's just a funny concept. The idea that he's a hero and the way he's a hero is just by yelling cuss words. It's taking like the idea of valor or, that kind of like standing up for somebody. It's like, well, this is something Larry's good at, swearing and yelling. Finally, he has a chance to do something good. And he's lying too, because he doesn't actually have Tourette's. And it causes this like Spartacus like wave through the whole restaurant. Michael York is fucking yelling. It's hilarious that fucking Michael York is like, piss shit, motherfucker. It's like James Mason. Son of a bitch. Austin Powers. Ted Danson is on the show. I mean, it is funny as fuck. I mean, that's all it is. People want to feel things. Like that's really like there's aesthetics too, and aesthetics are like moving and part of the package, but like the aesthetic is really just there to like move people. It's like if you move people, if you make them feel something, if you make them laugh, if you make them cry, that's what they will pay for. That's what they'll like become. That's what they want. And fuck, there was one more thing I was gonna say. I guess I will probably get off now. It's been 2.5 hours. I've been talking about Larry David for an hour or something. Um, what was I gonna say about that? Fuck. Something about aesthetics, technique, moving people. Oh yeah, I had this conversation. I maybe I've talked about this before on Twitter, where it's like there was this clip of Chris Jericho talking about. I think it was something about how he was trying to choose a finisher or this or that, and he used to do a moonsault or something, and he's like, it doesn't matter what the finisher is, like whatever, it doesn't matter what the move is. What matters is connecting with the crowd. It's like that's what matters. It's like as long as you connect with the crowd, the move doesn't matter. It's like, well, I wouldn't, I get what he's saying, but like, what I would say is like, it's almost like form is nothing more than an extension of content, where it's like the moves are part of how you connect with the crowd. Like doing a moonsault is particularly if it says something about your character, like somebody like fucking Rey Mysterio Jr., part of how he connects with the crowd is like the moves that he does are fucking incredible. They're like something we've never seen before. And he's so good at it, doing Hurricane Ranas and flips and planchas and Topo del whatever the fuck it is, Chicos. Uh, like the moves are part of the character. Like the aesthetics are part of the feeling that somebody gets. So it's like I remember Hulk Hogan saying something about, and I'm using wrestling moves as a lens through which Hulk Hogan saying something about if he knowing what he knows now, because he lost a bunch of height. He had to do all these spinal surgeries. When he started out, he was like 6'8", they claimed. And by the end, I think he was like 6'4". So he literally lost like 4 inches of height because his finisher was the leg drop, right? So he's like, every time he does his finisher, he comes down on his tailbone. And he's like, if I knew it, knowing what I know now, I wouldn't have made my finisher the leg drop. I would have made it the sleeper hold. And it's like, in the climate of like late 70s, early 80s WWF wrestling, if you watch, and I love these shows actually, because if you watch the WWF wrestling in like the late 70s, the moves meant a lot more. Like they did pretty amazing moves even back then. They do flips and shit like that. Like it wasn't totally boring like people think it is, but it's like the moves meant a lot more. So it's like you could do a sleeper hold back then, and it could be kind of exciting what it meant in the context of everything that was going on and the speed and the pace of the matches. There were finishers that people had that like the Cobra Clutch or Camel Clutch or whatever that like were not really that exciting, but like the way that they made it matter, like made it now it's like these guys do everything. They jump out of fucking airplanes practically, doing all these flips, and they'll do a goddamn suplex onto a fucking chair and shit, like an open chair and shit. And it's like, a sleeper hold would not hold up as a finisher in that context. Like now you need something a little more dynamic. You need something like the leg drop. I don't know about finisher. It is kind of a lame finisher. But like, it's also like, it's such an iconic thing. The big boot into the leg drop. It's dynamic within the context of the match because it's almost like that it's coming. There's a reversal of fortune. Flair. Look at Flair. It's like his finisher is a figure four leg lock. He doesn't do like an F5 or something. But like I said, within the context of that era, that shit had a little bit more weight to it. I mean, I do think Flair, like in a certain way, I mean, he is like probably my favorite wrestler, but that has more to do with like his personality. Like Flair's move set, he really only has about four moves. And it's like you can't really be the greatest wrestler of all time if you only have four moves. I'm sorry. Like he gets a lot of mileage, but like every Flair match, it's like he's really dictating the match because there's only so many fucking things. It's like you're gonna throw him off the turnbuckle. He's gonna do chops. He's gonna do the figure four. He might do that like suplex where he holds you in the air forever. He'll probably do a knee breaker. You're gonna throw him off the turnbuckle. you'll do that clothesline thing where like he does the flip in the turnbuckle and then, but it's like that's it. That's every Flair move. Like that is it. And like he'll take your moves, but like the dude doesn't even have like, he's not going to do like a Hurricane Rana or something. Flair's not going to do a power bomb or a fucking. Does he do a Russian leg sweep? Maybe he does a Russian leg sweep. He's not going to do a fisherman suplex. I mean, partially, probably he's not trying to steal other people's moves, which back then, like a DDT was like a finisher. It's like Flair, I don't even think he does a scoop slam, does he? Maybe he does. Maybe Flair does a scoop slam. I guess he does that like knee thing, but it's like he just kind of shuffles like about half a dozen moves around. And somehow he's able to wrestle for a fucking hour because he just goes back to the chops and personality, strutting around, getting a back body drop. And so my point is like the content, is not arbitrary. It's like you can't just do a fucking sleeper hold. Like a moonsault is more dynamic. It says a certain thing about the character. Like a tombstone pile driver says a lot about the Undertaker. Like it's different than if he did then he does the last ride or whatever. And so I think as performers, it's kind of the same thing. Like, your jokes fucking matter, your material, they all say something about the character that the audience is like perceiving. The way your guitar sounds, that's the aesthetic is the character. Like Motley Crue and Guns N' Roses sound different than fucking, the Mamas and the Papas or whatever. And so it's like a difference between a fucking moonsault and a fucking, pile driver or something. And so it's not, you can't, it's like, uh, it's part of the attitude. It's part of the psychology in a way. Why does that character do this? Why does, Misawa do all of these moves? He's targeting you. He does all these elbows. He does all these, tiger driver and shit. It's like he's working towards a certain mode of defeat for you. Oh yeah, I didn't talk about Morrissey's hate list. I don't know if people saw this, but Morrissey came out with this. What was it? Was it on? He probably posted it on Instagram. Like all kind of, you know, vindictive personal shit that probably shouldn't be on the internet. Here it is. Morrissey has released a list of all the people he feels have wronged him. Here it is. Oh yeah, it's on his website, Morrissey Central. Of course, I'm a dedicated subscriber of Morrissey Central. The malefactors. This is like the best thing. This is why Morrissey. This is why people get Morrissey tattoos. This is why Morrissey is Morrissey. It's sort of like a Larry David thing. June 12th, 2026. The malefactors. And I don't think this is AI. I don't think this is fake. Johnny Marr, Princess Diana. What did Princess Diana do? She's dead. You're gonna put her on your second? You're gonna put her. What the fuck did she do to you, Morrissey? Keir Starmer, don't know who that is. Anthony Kiedis. He should be before Princess Diana. Fuck Anthony Kiedis. Elton John. Caddy. Aubrey Drake Graham. Lisa Simpson. I think there was some joke on The Simpsons about Morrissey, about how he's vegan or some shit. Lisa Simpson probably has a Morrissey tattoo. It's canon. They should age the characters. I'd love to see Lisa Simpson as the president or whatever. Donald Trump. Donald Trump is way down the list after fucking Princess Diana. Tom York. Fuck you, Tom York. I'd be honored to be on. I'd be honored to be one of Morrissey's malefactors. Tom York, you piece of shit. Fuck you. Damon Albarn. So he just hates like 90s. Taylor Swift. Fuck you. What did Taylor Swift do? Is this real? This can't be real. Zendaya. Fuck you, Zendaya. You have wronged Morrissey. Katy Perry. Jack Black. Machine Gun Kelly. Edward Cullen? That's from Twilight. It's not a real guy. Popeye. Popeye. What the fuck did you do to Morrissey, Popeye? This can't be real. A very judgmental garden. Is this real? This cannot be real. Okay. Kanye had one too. I am in pain that no one person can fix. Virgil, John Lennon, Kim, Trav, Cardi, Big Sean, Jay-Z. So this must be something that just like super narcissistic people. Uh I'm gonna make one. I'm gonna make a list of the malefactors in my life. The open mic malefactors. These are all people on my Morrissey hate list. Who else? Who else have we got? Machine Gun Kelly, yeah. Popeye? Really? Popeye? Keanu Reeves. Keanu Reeves never hurt anybody. There's no way Keanu Reeves. Like, come on. Ryan Reynolds, I get. Now, Ryan Reynolds should be on the list. Snoop Dogg, Bruce Springsteen. I can't imagine Bruce Springsteen said anything bad about Morrissey. Willem Dafoe. Fuck you, Willem Dafoe. Brian Cox, Meryl Streep, Bigfoot, Madonna, Kylie Minogue, Kate Bush. So it's like fictional characters and real people. Duran Duran, Noel Gallagher. See, he hates all the like 90s Britpop. Canada, Lucio, Nigel Farage. That's a good one. Old Play, Johnny Marr. I think he put Johnny Marr in it like more than twice. Ronald McDonald. What the fuck? Well, I guess Ronald McDonald is like, if you're a vegan, I guess, Ronald McDonald has pissed you off. Alex Turner, John Cena. Really? How does Morrissey know who John Cena is? David Attenborough. Now, okay, now you've gone too far. Morrissey, you have gone too far, okay? How dare you? How fucking dare you? I mean, you can insult Princess Diana, okay? You can insult Taylor Swift. You cannot fucking insult David Attenborough. I am sorry. That's just not right. That's not right, Morrissey. I'm sorry. You need to take that back. Paul Rudd, okay. Stephen King, sure. Cher? Really? Cher. Morrissey hates Cher? This has got to be fake. Rowan Atkinson. Yeah, fuck Rowan Atkinson. I'm with you on that one. Oh, wait a minute. Did I say Alex Turner already? Stevie Nicks. Jeff Goldblum. Gordon Ramsay. Yeah, fuck Gordon Ramsay. Stanley Tucci. All right. I'm here for it. I'm here for the Stanley Tucci hate. You know who isn't on the list? Larry David. Bjork. Fuck you, Bjork. Fuck you, Bjork. What is it for? Bjork. Donna Noble. Mitski. TV Girl. Tame Impala. Yeah, fuck Tame Impala. I'm with you on that one. Tame Impala sucks so bad. I hate Tame Impala. Alex G. Chris Pratt. Yeah, fuck Chris Pratt. Arnold Schwarzenegger. Jennifer Coolidge. Tilda Swinton. Peter Hook. Mike Mills from REM. Elon Musk. See, Elon Musk should be way higher. Justin Bieber. Ooh, the Blue Album? Really? Is that the Weezer? Is he taking a dig at Weezer? Did Weezer go after Morrissey? I mean, come on. Shots fired. Jesus Christ. No one is safe. Where's Bannon? Where's Steve Bannon? Where's J.D. Vance? Where's Stephen Miller? John Gilman. Stephen Patrick Morrissey. Isn't he Stephen Patrick Morrissey? Charlie XCX. That's not very brat, is it? Being on Morrissey's Malefact, that's pretty brat. Johnny Marr again. Why do you hate Johnny Marr so much, man? I mean, come on, dude. Can we get peace? If we can't have peace in the Middle East, can we get peace between Morrissey and Johnny Marr? Sam Brown, Elijah Wood. Yeah, fuck Elijah Wood. Susie Sue. Wow. Sam Altman. Yeah, fuck you, Sam Altman. J.K. Rowling, Colleen Hoover. Uh-oh. Colleen Hoover. Shit. Wow. Who's next? Danielle Steele? David Tennant. Fuck you, Doctor Who. Shit, man. If you're on Morrissey's shit list, if you're British, that's like a huge honor, I think. That's like the most British thing you could be is on Morrissey's shit list. Fuck you, David Tennant. You ruined Doctor Who. Wow. I wonder how much thought went into this. The Guardian, really? Of all the fucking news organizations in the whole world, you're going to call it The Guardian. C418, Russell T. Davies, Stanley Kubrick. Wow. Kubrick's been dead for fucking 30 years. He spelled it wrong, too. Joaquin Phoenix. Ross Geller? Isn't that the character from Friends? Chappell Rowan. Okay, I'm with you there. Miley Cyrus. Sure, I'm with you on that. 50 Cent. All right. Tom McDonald. Ulfric Stormcloak. This is gotta be fake. Ben Shapiro. Great. Mark Fishback. Okay. John Talbot. Joe Talbot. Nicolas Cage. Sam Levinson. Twice for Sam Levinson. Mo Chara and Margaret Thatcher. Fuck. Ulfric Stormcloak. That's a fucking Game of Thrones, or is that it says maybe Skyrim? Johnny Marr. Wow. Shit. Well, I love it. I support it. I think more people should create a list of malefactors. I've got it certainly in my list. I've got my list. Every artist, every band or artist that Morrissey hates. The Cure, Michael Bublé. Ooh, he doesn't like David Bowie. Shit. Wow, he's just a fucking hater. Surprise, surprise. Morrissey's a hater. He hates The Cure. Wow. It all began when Morrissey was interviewed as part of a feature in 1984 Visual Music Magazine. If I put you in a room with Robert Smith, Marky Smith, and a loaded Smith and Wesson, who would bite the bullet first? I'd line them up so that one bullet would penetrate them simultaneously. Robert Smith is a whinge bag. It's rather curious. He's a whinge bag. He's a whinge bag. It's rather curious that he began wearing beads at the emergence of the Smiths and had been photographed with flowers. That's rather curious. I suspect he's quite supportive of what we do, but I've never liked the Cure, not even the Caterpillar. Fuck. Okay. The Cure added a new dimension to the word crap. He described their seminal record Disintegration, as absolutely vile. Jeez Christ. Okay, so they've since kind of smoothed things over. Morrissey and Robert Smith are friends now. He hates Michael Bublé. Famous and meaningless, he says. I mean, what a bitch. Morrissey knows who I am. That's so fucking cool. I was chuffed he even knew me, says Michael Bublé. David Bowie, shit. Okay. This friendship was not built to last. Morrissey was invited to be a part of Bowie's tour of some UK European. Right up from the start, Morrissey's nose was put out of shape after being put on the tour announcements as a special guest. He did not like that. Good evening, we support your group, says Morrissey. Okay, the breaking point. Bowie would slowly replace Morrissey's band throughout the last songs of the set, removing members of the group like this. Wow, okay. Bowie's a business, he's not really a person. I could tell you stories, and you've never listened to Let's Dance Again. Morrissey's cunt, I think, as the young people say. Bowie is not the person he was. He gives people what he thinks will make them happy, and they're yawning their heads off. And by doing that, he's not relevant. He was only relevant by accident. Okay, Morrissey. He doesn't like Kylie Minogue. He doesn't like Kate Bush. Okay. The Voice, such trash. Doesn't like Elton John. Okay. Well, I don't know. He's Morrissey. He hates everybody. Good for him. So that's Morrissey. Let me see. Was there anything else I need to talk about before I get off this thing? 3 hours, people. We did it. No, I think that's good for now. All right, let's go to 180 minutes. I'm going to wait. Thank you guys for watching. I am at Kid Q's show tomorrow, hosting. I'll be there. I'm in the clown show on Sunday. Come to the clown show at, I think it's at Francis Kite Club. It's Father's Day. We're doing some kind of Father's Day fucking theme. Dad. The theme is man. Men. So I'm going to be manly that day. More than usual, I suppose. Got to figure out what the fuck I'm doing. And then Monday's open mic, baby. Pride Month continues. Thank you guys for watching. Like and subscribe. I'm gonna put my new vlog out soon. So keep your eyes out for that. Go Knicks, everybody. We did it. Champions. We did it. My new glasses are ready, so I'm gonna get my new glasses probably Monday, I guess. And we'll talk soon, everybody. Was this a waste of time? Streaming is a sad, lonely waste of time. I think it's worth doing occasionally. Anyway, thank you for watching. Twice a week is my goal. And arrivederci. We'll talk soon, everybody. Have a good weekend.